Hello, 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 everyone. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Good to be here. It is a two-man show tonight. It's myself and Paigey with you this evening. So hope you all are ready for a lot of interesting conversation.
I've never heard two man
Two
used like
man,
that.
cool man, two man. Yeah, it's been a wild few days. Oh, there's Darren. Have a great dream, everybody. Can't wait to listen to it. It's gonna be a dream, Darren. Definitely will. What's up, Space Ship Poet? It's a good name. Um, anyway, it's gonna be an interesting stream. I have a few topics lined up, but I want to sort of talk a little bit about Los Angeles. Are you seeing these videos and these pictures, Paigey? Like,
It's sort of interesting because like pretty much exactly 5 years ago, the same thing was happening here in Australia. Like
yeah,
those wildfire, those crazy fires and everything like that. But it just shows you, like, I mean, if the wind's there, like you can't do anything to stop it.
yeah. Let me
You
see
know,
if I can share.
it's
Like,
pretty mental. Like,
I look. I tried to find. I was gonna look at some pictures here, but there's so many. Look, we talk about Twitter shit as a joke, but there's absolutely so much AI bullshit on Twitter of the fires that I can't actually find um like real pictures of
yeah, I
all
mean,
these
I saw
fake
something
ones.
that people were trying to make it like Santa Monica was on fire. I saw something like that.
Yeah.
Like, fair enough. Like
Anyway,
the fires are somewhat close to Santa Monica, but they're not in Santa Monica.
no, it's like Malibu, Pasadena, some places like that. So, hey, 3Dub, what's up? Um, yeah, it's crazy because I have friends that live in that area, and a lot of them actually were evacuated. A lot of times, I don't know, because you don't really use Facebook that much, and to be honest, I'm not on there much anymore either. But a lot of times, people will mark themselves safe from something, and you're like, they're nowhere near that anyway, right? They live in the same state or whatever. But um, I've got a lot of friends that actually have marked themselves safe. Where I was like, yeah, they live in that area. So
I did see that though, Biggs. I saw that people were lighting fires, like not just
yeah,
being dickheads. Like they were going in like downtown, which is stupid. Like, I'm sorry, if you start a fire in downtown Los Angeles, it's unless you light it in an actual building, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to go out. There's nothing to catch on to. Like,
yeah.
the whole point is that it catches on to scrub. Like, the whole reason that whole area is on fire is because it's just full of dry, like, tree
I
matter,
think
like
that
leaves and
someone
stuff
said
like
that like
that.
this last year they had like almost 0% precipitation, so it's very bad conditions. Plus, I do know that places in that part of the country, and there's probably some people in the chat from there, but I believe that there is restrictions on water usage for like watering your lawns and stuff. So you can't really just water your lawns whenever you want. You have to. There's certain days
Oh
that
yeah, you can
lawn
only do it
watering can
like one
happen.
hour, like 1 hour on like a Thursday or a Tuesday or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, because of
You can't
water
run sprinklers.
conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing in Las Vegas. I know I've got a friend that lives in Vegas, and they have like a lot of strict rules about that as well. So, um, but yeah, it's pretty wild. So, Fetman, this is also a bit of misinformation. Well, it's not it isn't false, but it's a false framing from what I read because I went and looked this up. Um, it was kind of a situation where the mayor was forced to do it, and it was because of criticism about like lack of funding in other places. So it was kind of a situation where the mayor was stuck in a spot where there was no proper like it was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
From what I
Essentially.
read, it's this or that, and
Yeah.
it was like those like choices between stuff that affects like day to day, week to week, and stuff. But it's just like you're sort of gambling. It's like, well, I'm gambling that there won't be a massive fucking fire that's
Right.
caused by these
Yeah,
ridiculous winds.
and it was a small amount. It was like 2%. Like for everything that I've read from the actual people there that are working in the services said that they had the ability to do what they could do. It wasn't like a situation where there wasn't money, there wasn't water, whatever. It was just a situation where this is a natural disaster that probably is being fueled like with all these other fires that are starting is a combination of like just Mother Nature and people being dickheads at this point. And there's only so much that humans can do. So what happens is when you have a natural disaster like this, people want to point fingers. They want to say this person was responsible because they weren't able to go in and save the day 100%. That's reality, everyone. That's just what happens, right? I mean, it sucks. People are losing houses. Buildings are being burned down. People are getting evacuated. People are getting hurt. Like it does suck. But I don't think we should pretend that there was any person in Los Angeles that could have saved the day on this. It just look at what's happening there. I wish I could show photos, but I don't know which ones are real and which ones aren't. But I don't believe, like the video footage that I've seen and stuff, I don't believe there was any way that the city could have done enough to stop all of it. I just don't believe that.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, you can always be prepared, but at the end of the day, it's like, how prepared can you be and stuff like that. And also, it's like certain periods and everything like that. But I mean, like, the thing that's pretty crazy is the people that are like almost laughing at the, like, because it's like celebrities that are losing their houses and stuff like that. And it's like, still doesn't mean it's not their fucking home. I mean, like, it's
I've seen that too. There's a lot of channels here on YouTube that are using this as a way to like take a stab at wokeness in movies. Like, are you fucking stupid?
Well, and also even just like the whole thing about like, it's like, like the whole like eat the rich and everything like that. But it's like, I don't think people realize that like actors might make a lot of money, but they still like they have that lifestyle and everything. And also there's, at the end of the day, it doesn't really, they're millionaires. They're not billionaires. Like people acting like they're billionaires. They can just, it doesn't matter. They can just get up. They've still got to rebuild from that. It's sort of very, I know it's like, it is like that brain rot stuff. Like that's actual brain rot where people just like lack empathy and stuff. And they're sort of like,
right. Like, look, I do not feel bad that someone with a lot of money that could probably get another house may have to find another house. I am sympathetic and empathetic to losing everything you own as a person, as a human being. You have to understand that regardless of how much money they have, even if we had the money, say for example, everyone in here had the money to buy another house if something were to happen to your house. Just imagine that for a moment. You still don't want to lose everything you own.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned like photos, like child, like ashes of parents.
There's a lot of things that are irreplaceable. Yes, you can get a new television. Yes, you can buy a new bedroom set, but you may not be able to get photos back from your parents. You may not be able to get things that remind you of pets that have passed away. Things like that,
something that's been in your family for generations. Like like a chair that like.
So I'm not going to make. There's a lot of celebrities I don't like that have lost everything. That people are like, that's funny. It's not fucking funny to me. It's just not. So Naruto here with the $2 super chat. Don't forget last year in Hawaii too. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the State Farm thing as well. I did some digging into it. I just want to double check. I was looking over here. Apparently, I'm not defending State Farm. Insurance companies are scum. But apparently there was some sort of like additional catastrophe exposure clause that California had I think it was 2023. No, it wasn't 2024. It was 2023. Where they didn't have to offer new policies to customers in California because of catastrophe exposure, and they were allowed to go back and retroactively remove some of the protections they had because of new state regulations. So let's see here what it says. See, 1,600 policies were dropped by State Farm in July. California Department of Insurance spokesman Michael Soller said on Thursday in an email to CBS Money Watch, an analysis of insurance data by CBS San Francisco last year found that State Farm also dropped more than 2,000 policies in other 2 Los Angeles zip codes. Let's see. State Farm's decision reflects a trend of private insurers, including Allstate and Farmers Insurance, of dropping California policies or halting underwriting, leaving homeowners with a choice of getting coverage through the insurer of last resort in the California Fair Access to Insurance Requirement Plans, or FAIR Plan, or forego insurance altogether. The FAIR Plan provides basic fire insurance coverage for properties at high risk where traditional insurance companies will not. So essentially there was another company they could go to get that additional insurance, and a lot of people, okay, just gonna play devil's advocate here. Maybe a lot of people didn't know that they would be losing that. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't very obvious that was going to be taken out and they weren't made aware of it, because I don't know every little underwrite on my insurance. You know what I mean? And I'd have to go and look specifically. But yeah, But it says here the Palisades fire could become the costliest wildfire in the history of the United States because of the number of buildings that have been destroyed and the structures rank among the nation's most expensive homes. University of California climatologists said on Wednesday the neighborhood's 9,000 resident units have a median home value of $3.1 million. Wow. But you have to remember also a bunch of businesses were destroyed, and they aren't necessarily millionaires. So
yeah, especially around that area, I think there are a lot of like family businesses, like small businesses and stuff like that. Like they might make a decent amount of money off their small business, but at the end of the day, it's still a small business.
Yeah, I know people don't want to talk about climate change. I'm not going to get into that here, because I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. Just like like this is just like unlucky, like because I think they said it started from like someone with a fire in their backyard or something unattended, and then embers went up, wind caught it. And I mean, if you got dry stuff, like I know around here in Australia, stuff they're very fucking
windy, careful. Dry, fire is not a good mix. Those three things are like worst case scenario. But what I was going to say about the climate change thing was that argument or that discussion about climate change, which most people would say is a divisive topic. I think a lot of people fall on one. I don't think there's a lot of middle of the road people. I think everybody falls on one side of that or the other. Regardless of whether or not you believe or disbelieve in climate change, I'm not going to get into that here. One thing we have to be mindful about is these types of environmental disasters at a federal level need to be watched a lot. They need to pay more attention to it because this is something that has been talked about when it comes to that particular part of California for a while, but a lot of funding was pulled. And so the states are left to handle a lot of things themselves, which by the way, on federal land, the state has nothing to do with that, meaning that there was parts of the land that would have been in danger that were the federal government was supposed to be taking care of that. So there's a lot of blame to go around in terms of like what they could have done. But I do believe that regardless of which way your fingers point, this is one of those natural disasters where let us try and help the people that need it and stop trying to start a culture war over this. It's so stupid. I see people talking about wokeness in regards to this. Hollywood is burning down. This is why we shouldn't have, this person as a mayor, this person as governor, whatever. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. We should be focused on helping these people. Then we can deal with whoever's fault it was after we get these people helped.
I know whose fault it was.
Who's that?
The fucking wind. That's who it was.
Well, I know, but they're going to try and point fingers at someone.
Well, yeah, because someone has to be a scapegoat in the situation. Yeah, like, sure, like all that stuff can be a thing. At the end of the day, what 80% of those homes probably still are burnt down. Mm-hmm. Like it's just a thing. Like, especially like I know. I don't know if all those ones in the hills, like houses aren't meant to be on those hills.
What do you mean? They really shouldn't. Like where all that dry foliage is. And
they shouldn't be. But at the same time, they probably should. Like the actual Californian, like California, I guess, or specifically Los Angeles, I guess, because of the area. They should control that. Like the fact that that's not controlled, like it isn't cleaned up consistently to try and at least lower the risk, is pretty crazy to me. Considering there seems to be a big fire on average, like once every 2 to 3 years there. Mm-hmm. Like one that's like multiple homes destroyed and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's not controlled in some manner.
Well, that's part of the thing that that people have been saying in general about that area is that it just wasn't actually maintained the way it should be. So, we'll see where it goes. Again, I have actual friends that live there that are not millionaires that had to be evacuated and probably lost their apartments.
Well, one of my mom's friends used to live somewhere like I think just north of Malibu or just south, one of the two. But now she lives in Laguna Beach. So I was like, I'm pretty sure she meant to be there, and she's like, no, she lives in Laguna Beach, which is south. It's like going down to San Diego. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen there. Where are we going to start here? We've got a few things pulled up. We're not going to do I tried to pull up, like I said, those pictures of the fires, but they're not very well done. Let's start over here. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to open the article, but I don't know if I'm going to read the whole artiple because it's a lot. Let's see.
Reading
is fundamental, but it's also like kryptonite. Yeah, all 100% that. Oh, this is a good one. All right, let's cue the music, and then we're going to talk about this. This is This one was kind of interesting to me. So here we go. All right, so here goes. The creator of MoviePass has pled guilty to defrauding investors. This one's interesting. Do you have something like MoviePass over there? I mean, I figure everybody's got something somewhere, right?
No,
you don't have it. So you like everything is full price all the time.
They make too much. People go to the movies here. Like I think it's
right.
Australia's like obviously there's the States, UK. I think Mexico's fairly big. China if it wants to. But Australia's like I think like top 6 going to the cinema and spending money and stuff like that. So they would never do that. But also someone has to back it. Like someone has to back something like MoviePass. Maybe they you wouldn't want to back something like MoviePass because it fucking burnt to the ground. But yeah,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's read the article. The first part of the article pretty much covers it. I feel like lately with articles, and maybe it's just me, but they cover the important stuff in like the first 2 paragraphs, and the rest of it is just. It's just filler, really. They'll talk about like the history of something. I mean, I guess they're being comprehensive, but it just seems like it could have been a documentary blog post.
It should be on HBO Max. I'm pretty sure it's an HBO documentary on MoviePass. I don't know if it's just called MoviePass, but he's in it. He's in the documentary. I'm pretty sure they actually interview him.
Wait, like is it about the failure of MoviePass? Is that
it's about the rise of MoviePass, how it was done, how it was funded, how it was backed. It's really interesting, like especially because it's like not over this like, but it shows that it's actually got a really like interesting thing with the timeline because like you look back all those movies like around the time that MoviePass was at its highest, and it was probably the healthiest the box office was, but it was running off money that wasn't really there, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's what all this is about, pretty much. So
watch that documentary if you want to know more about. Yeah, MoviePass, Movie Crash. That's what it's called. Yeah, Fatman said it.
All right, so this is interesting. The name is so funny to me. So Ted Farnsworth. That sounds like a cartoon villain name or some sort of Looney Tunes name. That doesn't even sound real to me. Farnsworth.
There's a rugby league player in Australia called Herbie Farnsworth. It sounds like a made-up surname, like Farnsworth.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering, is it like a European thing or an Aussie last name or whatever?
He's English, so it's probably derives from England somewhere.
It's a holdover from all that. Architect of failed MoviePass plan pleads guilty to defrauding investors, and so here in the first bit, it kind of explains this. Ted Farnsworth, the architect of MoviePass, doomed $9.99 a month subscription plan, pleaded guilty Tuesday to defrauding investors in the company. This reminds me of a lot of the stuff that Warner Brothers was accused of, where they were supplementing free subscriptions that they gave away to part of the value. You know what I mean? Like if there was 100 people subscribed, 50 of them were like bundled in with your phone plan, or they were like, here for $1 you can try out HBO Max or whatever. All that shit. Farnsworth also pleaded to a conspiracy charge for a second scheme involving a non-existent video sharing platform. What? A non-existent video sharing platform? So he was lying completely? Which the government alleges...
He just lied about it. Oh, it exists.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's...
No jokes. No, it doesn't.
No, I mean, like, it's funny. How do you do that? Did they not check? Like, videosonline.com or something? Like, they didn't check to see if it was a real thing? Which the government alleges he secretly organized while under investigation in the MoviePass case. He's been in federal custody since his bond was revoked in August 2023. It was important for Mr. Farnsworth to accept responsibility for his conduct. He took the first step by entering a guilty plea in this. I mean, I'm guessing there was no way to not be guilty. I mean, I feel like this would all have been documented.
Oh, yeah. And also there was like other people, like other investors and stuff like that. And I think from memory from that documentary, like there was like, everyone was sort of pointing the blame on him. Like no one was trying to pretend like there was, I think there was another guy involved. I can't remember who he was off the top of my head.
I feel like this, like, to me, I guess crypto seems like an easier currency to sort of trick people with because it's unregulated. Like the Hawk Twa spit on that thing with her and the crypto. Did you see there was a picture of her like hanging out on the beach or something, and people think she's pregnant now? Did you see that?
I did not see that. That might have been your in the brain rot sector you were.
No, it's but it's a real thing. I saw it. So like she's got.
Well, I'm not saying you didn't see it, but I'm saying it's probably in your little area on Twitter that you hang out in.
So the conspiracy theory now is that she did all this because she's pregnant and she needed money. That's what people are saying. So
I'm pretty sure she was making a decent amount of money from like just randomly. But then again, wasn't she like living in LA? So I guess all of a sudden, like
I never, to be honest, completely unrelated to this because now we're off on the Hawk Twa thing or whatever. But I never understood the fascination with her anyway. To begin with, no offense to her.
I think it's just one of those. It's just one of those things. I think where, it's so stupid that people find it. It's almost like boomer humor, like I don't even know, like I don't know if you can think of a meme that's just not funny. Like I'm trying to think of a meme that I just didn't think is funny that people like sort of wrote.
You mean like the one you shared last week? And I was like,
that's hilarious. That
was not hilarious.
Yeah, but you don't get it because you never lock in.
I never.
You're always geeking out.
Yeah,
yeah. Like
I need to lock in more often. Apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess that's one way to put it.
What is? I mean, does that? Locking in, like locking myself in to the house? Is that what it is? I'm being literal. Locking into the bedroom? I don't know what that means. Locking people into the dungeon, in the sex dungeon? Maybe that's what it means.
Well, I know. You can determine however you want. Just make sure you don't do anything illegal, Eric. That's all I ask.
We got a super chat here from Cameron. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we talked about that on Tuesday. No, Monday. We talked about it on Monday. And some people were saying it's related to a music video, apparently. So... I
personally think it's connected to Wild Wild West too, but I guess we'll find out.
I mean, maybe, possibly. Let's see, what do we got here? What is next on the agenda? Let's see. I had a few things. Did you see? I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but there's apparently, I guess they're going to do more seasons of it. A Harry Potter baking competition.
It's cheap to make. It's got the branding. Like it's easy to do. I think.
Do we want to go back to what I said? Thank you again, Cameron, for the super chat. I said this back probably maybe over a year ago now that I believe they were going to start taking popular IPs and then making baking shows about them.
It's like this show, but it's Harry Potter themed. It's this show, but it's DC.
I said it could be DC. Yeah, I said that. And I was like, I'm sure they're going to do that. I said it sort of jokingly because I'm like, that seems really dumb, but it also is really cheap to make. So the fact that they actually did it.
Yeah, I remember. Well, they did a Harry Potter one. I don't know if HBO Max did. I think it was some other... Oh, maybe it was a Warner Brothers affiliated channel, but they did one where like Helen Mirren did, and there was like a quiz show, and I think that was very popular. So they probably were like, this was cheap to make. I think they like recorded like an entire seasons where it looks like they probably did in like one day. And that's the thing with those quiz shows, those reality shows. They'll film like 3 episodes in one day. Like they'll do because they can just edit it how they want. Like it can only take them half an hour to film, but if they edit from different perspectives, all of a sudden it's an hour's worth of content. I mean, it's not too surprising that they'll do that.
Little Wolf says, when do you come back? I did come back to Twitch. Like, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I started streaming music from the club, but people said the lag was too bad, so I ended the stream because
Eric accidentally twerked too hard and he ended up flashing his ass.
100%.
So,
100%. All right, let's talk about this here. Palak Patel has left Sony. Now, I thought this was interesting because it's talking about the Sony Spiderverse stuff. So he was the exec who oversaw Sony's Spider-Man spinoff films and served as the studio's point man for the MCU Spider-Man films. So let me see if I can find the details of this because I looked for it earlier and I couldn't find it. Let's see. It's on imdb.com. It says, Sony Pictures EVP of Production and Development, Palak Patel, is leaving the lot for a new gig as chief content creator at Namit Malhotra's Prime Focus Studios. So Prime Focus recently co-produced the Garfield movie with Alcon Entertainment for Sony Pictures, grossing more than $257 million at the worldwide box office. Did you see the Garfield movie by any chance?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Did you?
No. That's why I was asking you if you'd seen it.
Well, I thought you were going to say, "Oh wow, I saw it. It's so good."
No. I was trying to gauge whether or not it was dog shit. Because the reality is, who are there a lot of Garfield fans? I mean, it made 257 million, so I guess there are a lot of Garfield fans. I never found Garfield as a character particularly interesting. I like the cartoon, like the design of the character, but I never found the cartoons very interesting. But apparently, it was really popular as a little, like a comic in the newspaper. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it still goes in the newspaper. I think over here
it?
we still have Garfield. Yeah.
Mm.
I guess it wouldn't be too hard to write. It's like 8 panels and it's done, and it
Prime
usually
Focus
ends up with him
Studio-
eating lasagna.
I can understand that. Prime Focus Studios was founded by CEO Malhotra to finance and produce films, TV series, and other content at major studios as well as independently. It's currently in production on Animal Friends, The Angry Birds Movie 3, and Ramayana. But it doesn't say why why he's out, so it doesn't really give any detail on that.
Well, wouldn't it just be because didn't they say they weren't making any more, at least for the time being?
Well, I mean,
So
this sounds well. No, they said so. That was the speculation, is that they weren't making any more. But they came out and said basically that was false. That they were going to make them. They were just going to focus on quality. But when you're getting rid of this person, that tells me that that rumor was probably true.
yeah,
Right. That they're not really looking to make any more of these. Maybe Venom stuff, but I don't think they're looking to make any more of these. Like,
well, they want like a
Spider-Man
fresh take.
spin-offs.
They don't want someone who was happy with putting out Madam Web and Craven and Morbius and stuff like that.
so out of all of these, you the only one you saw was Morbius, right? Out of all the,
I saw Morbius. I've watched about a third to a half of Madam Web.
and you have no interest in Craven, right? That's pretty much.
No interest in Craven. I've seen the first 2 Venoms. I haven't seen Venom 3 yet.
Yeah. Well, either way, I think this is a good thing because they need some new blood in there. Essentially, I think everybody was fed up with these movies. So, completely out there. Look, the Los Angeles fire is live down there. It's normally you look on the side. You didn't mention that, surprisingly. All right, let's go over here. We'll just do a couple. I think I have 2 more Marvel MCU type stories here. So Cynthia Erivo says she wants to play Storm in the MCU, and I've seen a few people on board with this and a few that aren't. You saw Wicked, right?
Yeah. Did you see one of the people who was on board with it?
Yes, Bo DeMaio. I saw that. Yeah. I love Cynthia. I don't see her as Storm.
No, I think you have to go. I'm surprised they probably wouldn't go out and cast like an actress from Africa, like maybe with an accent and stuff like that.
Yeah. I kind of think they have to be honest. I think they need to go in that direction.
I know like Lupita Nyong'o is one. I can't remember if I've heard Lupita Nyong'o recently talk because I think she has like I don't know if her accent's changed or anything like that, but yeah, like you probably. But then again, it's like, and also are they looking for like star power like they did with Halle Berry? Like Halle Berry was already known and stuff when she was cast as Storm. So I guess it depends who they go for.
The issue I think though is at this point I don't see any reason to not cast more authentically. You know what I mean? Because we're talking about the MCU moving forward, and these characters are going to be, or these actors will be these characters for a long time. I think they need to really pay attention to the casting of certain characters, especially with the X-Men, because there's a lot of criticisms over like how they've cast in the past in terms of that. Which, by the way, do you think, because we know the drama around RDJ as Doctor Doom, we already know that. Do you think that, in chat, I want you to chime in as well, do you think that they have to get these castings like culturally, country, ethnically wise, do they have to go those directions with them, or do you think they're going to play a little bit and not necessarily follow the comics? What do you think personally?
I think it
and
depends.
How important do you think it is?
I think it's with specific characters and stuff like that. If their origin, plays into it and everything like that, I think that's sort of important. I mean, like I think with Storm, I think people would probably want like a very accurate Storm,
like African descent.
Player. Well, even like it depends how you wanted to speak, I guess. Exactly. But there's even like someone like, I mean, you sort of want that. Like I guess it's that'd be like a different change as well. Like I guess with the X-Men and stuff, where they just went like, okay, let's just go fully comic accurate, regardless of it. Maybe it seems like a bit on the nose or whatever it is.
Mm.
But once again, it probably only applies to like maybe like 20% of the characters that you're going to do anyway.
Right.
But I think with Storm, they'll try and be as accurate as possible, just because there's been multiple interpretations before already, and people weren't necessarily happy with them. People wanted a more accurate version.
Mm-hmm.
So you think they'd go with that? Like Magneto is the big one, I know, but it's so hard because of the displacement in time from where his origin would normally be to nowadays. So it's like, do you put a twist on that? Do you make it like a generational thing, or do you just make it where he's old and he doesn't age? Like that's a big one with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a fair statement, Capone, regardless of who they cast.
Well, yeah, that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
They get to cast the most accurate Storm in the world, and someone go, well, she was shit in this movie, so she's going to be shit. Like there'll be even just things like that. I mean, if Cindy Arriba got cast, I don't think it'd necessarily be a bad casting. But
I actually agree with Anthony, though. I think she could play another role in the MCU. I don't know.
Who's Cindy Arriba?
Right, yeah, I think they can give her something else.
Do you have one in top of your head? Or?
No, I'd have to sit down and like see.
I was wondering if
or whatever. But no. I just mean in general, I don't mind. Like, I think she's a very talented actress and she's amazing in Wicked, and I think that she could work in the MCU. But I don't know if Storm is the role that.
But also, how old is she? Because she was acting in England for a while before she broke in. Well, she's only 38. Okay, I thought she was maybe like in her like 40s. Okay, she's only 38, so it's not. She's not too old to be cast in that role.
Yeah. Let's see here. Rihanna here says some characters simply to avoid backlash from previous casting of these characters should be age-rated actors too within the X-Men team itself. So I think a lot of people forget, and this is something that's really important, with the exception of like a couple of the characters in the X-Men lineup. The initial X-Men are only a little bit older than like the New Mutants, which is why there was always that animosity about why are they able to. Because like Kitty Pryde was very young. Kitty Pryde was on the X-Men, but the New Mutants also thought that Kitty Pryde was too young to be on the X-Men because they were all still in school, but yet she was on the main team, and that was sort of the struggle between them. So you have to remember that the X-Men are not necessarily a lot of older characters. They're like Logan is an older character. Obviously Professor X is an older character, but a lot of the main X-Men team are relatively young. So, and you want them to stick around the MCU for a while because that's kind of what Marvel's thing is. You know, if we're talking about the X-Men saga or the Mutant saga, you've got to think they're at least going to go a decade with that, because that's what they went with the Avengers. Like they went that whole decade before they actually capped off that storyline. I feel like the Mutant storyline could easily go for a decade. So they want the actors to be young enough that,
or at least those main ones. Obviously there's like a rotation of, rotational door where, okay, well, but we want these six characters, we want them to be around for, or hypothetically to be around for 10 to 15 years or something like that.
Well, because they don't want a situation like they had with like, Robert Downey Jr. and stuff, where they get to the point where the actors have done it for so long, or they're so much older than what they need them to be to continue, that they have to like get them out somehow. And so I think with the X-Men, I'll be honest, the X-Men, if done right, have the potential to go for 20 years. They could do 20 years worth of movies with just the mutants. But they have to get the casting right. And the actors would have to want to stay on. That's another thing, is you have to cast people, if you want them to be locked in for a long time, you do want some big names, but you also want some of those mid-range actors in terms of like where they are in popularity. You want to elevate some people that maybe not have had an opportunity to get elevated by casting them and putting them in there and then signing those contracts to keep them around.
Really, you want to get some actors that are going to be locked in and not be geeked out. You need them to lock in for 10 to 15 years and not, geek out like Eric does normally.
Yeah, geek out. Is that a euphemism for something? Is that what
I think it's the opposite of locking in.
Oh, so geeked out is the opposite of locking in. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
At least based off that meme with the frog that was dancing.
Oh, there we go. All right, so let's move on to some non-superhero stuff, and then we're going to talk about Creature Commandos. I have a lot to say about Creature Commandos. So,
edgy.
Well, did you watch the finale yet?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk about that next. But how about this, Paigey? So it looks like it is going to happen. Looks like it's bye-bye TikTok unless something changes.
I was scrolling through TikTok this morning, and I saw like 4 videos in a row of like people that I guess their main platform is TikTok, and like that's where they promote. Like they'll have some other, they might do YouTube stuff, they might have a podcast, but they use TikTok as to like build their brand and then dispense it into other stuff. And they were pretty much succumb that like it's going to be banned. Like they were like promoting all their other stuff and almost like it's almost like a funeral or something.
So my question is, if it gets banned, how does that ban get enforced? I think
it's just like, I mean, it's just like, I think it's just going to be like an IP thing. Like you can probably use a VPN to get onto TikTok on your computer, but at the end of the day, I don't think you'd be able to monetize it. So I think for a creator, it's pointless because you wouldn't be able to get it put into your bank account. So unless
not only that, but you couldn't promote it for events because the event organizers would be like, we can't promote.
And like once again, so like. For that side of things, you probably still be able to use it if you wanted to, and just use it through a VPN. I don't know necessarily if you'd be able to get it to work on your phone, but at least you'd probably be able to get it to work on your computer. And that's probably just be like an IP sort of thing. Like it can tell that you're in, Los Angeles or whatever.
Right. My prediction is, why does Twitter keep refreshing like that? Do you see that?
Yeah.
It keeps disappearing and then coming back. So weird. Or is it StreamYard?
I think it was StreamYard because everything seemed to refresh, not just
because your picture's gone. Your icon is gone. For me, is it gone for everybody?
It's everything reloaded for a second.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see it. Okay, that makes sense. All right, hold on.
That was geeking out.
On my screen, your icon is gone on StreamYard.
What if I quickly do a change?
Now it's back for me.
Okay, I just had to change the icon.
So it's StreamYard. It's not Twitter. It's actually StreamYard.
Yeah.
This is the service that wants us to pay like $100 a month. That's what they want. Okay. So my prediction on this, and I think Anthony is right. Someone will buy it or rebrand the.
Do you think there's potential companies that want to buy that are waiting until the 11th hour to see if the price comes down?
I mean, maybe, but look, my prediction is, because I think the big thing is not just TikTok as a platform. Because to be clear here, anybody with a lot of money could go to someone that has like knowledge of how to make one of these platforms and make one of their own. It's not really that. It is the brand recognition of TikTok, and it is the data that TikTok has, the algorithm that TikTok has. That is extremely important because any company that starts up brand new has to do all of that themselves.
Well, that's the big thing, is that if it gets bored, the algorithm will change anyway. Across the board, I think it will even change international. I think if it doesn't get bored, the algorithm won't change. But if it does get bored, then the algorithm from TikTok gets changed completely. So it's almost to the point you can have 1 million followers.
Right.
It won't feel like you have 1 million followers. It'll feel like you're almost back down to zero. So almost everyone will be on a bit of an even playing field if it gets bored, which would be very interesting.
I actually think... so also when it comes to like coming off phones and devices, if you have Android, I don't know about Apple, but if you have Android, you can basically allow any app to be put on your phone that you want, especially if you have one that's completely stripped and locked in or geeked out, depending on how you do it. You can download. Well, if
it's an Android, it's definitely geeked out. It's not
okay, all right. So you can download and put anything you want on your phone. So they couldn't essentially block people from accessing it, but I think this is the interesting thing. Where is it at here? So this Anthony, not the other Anthony, but this Anthony, they said they're shutting it down if it's banned in the U.S. Well, that's probably because the U.S. contributes significantly to the traffic on TikTok. However, I think the bigger problem is the money situation, because TikTok makes a lot of revenue from the United States specifically, in like people that have basically. I don't want to say like all the gifts and stuff that you can donate, because that's not a lot of money. I guess it is if they're taking a little bit off the top, but a lot of the brand deals, the advertisers, they're going to lose those advertisers that are coming to TikTok, like people that are paying to have their, their sodas up there, or their, whatever it might be, the QVC,
even like movies. I feel like all the ads I see from scrolling is just like like a movie trailer.
Yeah,
and a lot of times
they're not going to be able to pay.
Specifically filmed for TikTok.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to pay for that. So what's going to happen is TikTok would lose money from that as well. But let's talk about post TikTok. Like, say for example, it does it, because a lot of people think that the Supreme Court might delay it or Trump might delay it or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But say for instance, it doesn't. I expect a massive influx of TikTokers using YouTube Shorts because they've already bumped Shorts up to 3 minutes. We talked about that. And they have streaming live now on Shorts. And they allow people to gift on Shorts now with like the gems or whatever, similar to how it was on TikTok. The only thing YouTube does not have right now that TikTok had is the ability to use all kinds of music in Shorts. I think the only way YouTube will be able to compete with TikTok's audience is if they're able to relax the music issue on Shorts. Right now, I know if you play a song in a 1 minute short, it doesn't usually affect anything. But now that Shorts go up to 3 minutes, you can essentially play an entire song, which would be a problem, I think. So like all the viral dances, everything that made TikTok sort of unique that way required them to be able to just use new music when it comes out. I don't think YouTube is going to be okay with that. I think that's going to be a problem.
Oh, unfortunate for you, Eric. Song goes for 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
So, but look, there's some upsides to all this, actually, if you want to look on the bright side of life. Not about the thong song, but just in general. I actually think the music industry will have to go back to actually making proper music.
Not like TikTok music.
Right, because right here, Anthony says, yeah, the music industry is going to suffer if TikTok is banned, I feel like. The industry maybe, but the artist will be better.
Yeah,
the artist will be better.
Ice Spice and stuff.
Right, yeah, because the TikTok, the type of music that TikTok makes is catchy, but it's gone in an instant. And as a DJ working in the clubs...
Is TikTok music made for like a hook, like literally like a 10 to 15 second thing? Like, I mean, the most common one was it the Carly Rae Jepsen song, which has like a good 10 to 15 seconds, and the rest of the song is like nothing like that hook.
Right. People in the chat may not know any of the names that I drop here. I'll just drop one. Okay, one that I play often because of the TikTok success. Is an artist. No.
Oh.
Is an artist called Pink Pantheress. Have you heard of this artist before? Pink Pantheress.
Yeah, she like does like the. It's like I don't know. It's like. I call it whisper singing. It's like very soft singing.
But she's done stuff with Ice Spice too. But almost all of her songs are less than 3 minutes long, right? And they don't have bridges. It's almost all catchy melodic hook music. So it's like everything is like a repeat, rinse and repeat type thing, step and repeat. So it's very popular for a minute and then it moves on to the next thing. And I'm not saying that she's not talented or that the artist that make TikTok music is not talented. It's just that TikTok demands a certain kind of music.
And the studio would be saying, you're making this type of music, you're not making anything else.
So what will happen is if TikTok goes away and there is no replacement for TikTok, we will see long form songs come back. People's attention spans will come back because TikTok is a big reason why attention spans have been affected. So I see a bonus to all of it. However, if there is no fundamental threat to TikTok being in the US market, because I've heard people say there is, but there's also no official proof, I guess, of it. It's just hearsay or whatever, because nobody wants to release why. But if there's no fundamental threat, I don't like the idea of the federal government banning something because they don't want it to be here.
Do you think
that's a problem?
Do you think it's called the Brain Rot Act 2025? Like that's
maybe. I don't like TikTok, but I don't like government censorship. I just don't, unless there's some sort of actual threat.
I think the clear thing is it's something to do with like it's stuff to do with China and like their control on certain things and stuff like that. But it's also about like
should we click on the Twitter AI to see what it tells us? Why is digital freedom at risk? What specific data privacy issues? Do you see this? Should we see what it says?
Feel free to.
Actually,
these little questions and
Okay, hold on. I don't want to get. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to know what the.
Like an AI picture of like an ass or something.
Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, so it says here on the side, TikTok collects a massive amount of user data which could potentially be used by the Chinese government for espionage or blackmail. So I'm assuming it's because so many people's locations and stuff are transferred there. Maybe.
Yeah, or I've noticed that like it seems to like auto locate, like it tells someone like specifically what town they're in, like not just like country, but like I'll say like they're in Grand Rapids or something like that.
Right. It says there are concerns that TikTok data collection could advance geopolitical interests by sowing discord and disinformation. Oh, that's another thing. I didn't think about this. So a lot of the really dumb political takes we see out there, which I'm not going to dive into, we'll just blanket term pagey. We're not going any further than that. But a lot of the dumb political takes or whatever that are out there start on TikTok. So what might happen is we'll see a lot less of that probably because of TikTok going away. So I can actually stand behind that. I don't like the dumb political takes. The platform's data privacy issues stem from the potential for the Chinese government to access U.S. user data through ByteDance, TikTok's parent company. Which, by the way, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that ByteDance, the TikTok portion that operates in the U.S. doesn't have the same stuff as everywhere else, but I don't know if that's true or not. Either way, we'll see what's going to happen. I don't really use TikTok, so it doesn't affect me in that way, but the influx of people coming to YouTube will be felt if TikTok goes away. Because, to be honest, there's only like 2 places that they can go. It's here or Instagram. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it'll get a split. There'll be certain people that go to Instagram because Instagram has monetization as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think
Lance saw you twerking on TikTok.
No, he saw you.
I think
It's your stream when he says, "I saw you."
No, I think
he's
talking about you because you were speaking when he.
Oh, by the way, have you seen the Jerry Springer Netflix documentary?
I haven't, but I saw it pop up and I was like, should I watch?
I watched it. It's only 2 episodes, but it's like pretty crazy. I didn't know like some of the stuff that went down on that.
I wouldn't be too shocked, I guess, by a lot of it, but I'll definitely have to check it out.
It was like part funny, part like what the fuck.
Right. All right. So as you guys know, before we get into the Creature Commando stuff, we do have a poll going right now, and what the poll is going to be is whatever is selected in this poll by you guys tonight, if we hit the tip goal, will be the bonus topic in the 5-hour stream on Saturday. So if you look at the choices, Paigey, let's go through them so you know what they are. The top 5 worst Arrowverse ships. That's this is just our personal top 5. Top 5 best Arrowverse ships.
Oh God.
Top 5 DCU dream projects. That one would be fun. I think that would be a fun one.
Can we go for that one? Like,
well, that's the winning one right now.
Well, the worst one's like top 5 ships. Like, fuck.
Top 5 Arrowverse seasons. So just
I honestly think like a cure for brain cancer might be more likely than.
But you guys can keep voting. We have 44 votes already. We have like almost 100 people watching. So if you would like to vote on that, you can. And if you want to help make this happen, the tip goal is up. It has got 2 hours left on it. I probably won't mention it until for the next hour. So if you guys just want to drop some super chats, I do appreciate it.
Because we're scandalous.
Because we're going to talk about Creature Commandos. So anyway, thank you guys so much. All right, let's see. Let's jump over here. Where is it at? All right. So we're going to share this tab while we talk about it, and then we'll go through some of these other topics. So I'm pretty sure everybody here has watched Creature Commandos, or if you... I mean, there's no reason not to. They were short episodes. You could binge it all in like 3 hours, pretty much. But we're going to talk about spoilers for the end of the last episode, the finale, because it was short. So I don't know what else to say. I feel like it should have been a longer episode, but I also want to talk about the whole season. So that's why I'm glad that you're caught up as well. So what did you think of the finale where we talked about Nina's story and how we closed off the show for the season?
I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought it wrapped up what it needed to wrap up, but it just played into the issues throughout the entire show. Like, it felt rushed. Or trying to. I'm shocked that they did a backstory in the finale. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
But everything just felt rushed. I think the plot was so undercooked. It's not even funny. And I think it gets sort of like slapped around your face in the finale.
It was almost non-existent because they spent so much time in the season doing backstory.
I agree with you. So. Non-existent. It was really there for like 2 episodes, and then they have to have the bride come in and just do like this exposition, like this happened, and just her connecting the dots, and then like very conveniently the princess is like, oh shit, she called on to me when she could just like faked it.
Yeah.
But like, I think. Did the show even need a plot? I mean, like, you could have argued that. I think they probably would have been better off if they didn't do this whole thing where Cersei was telling the truth, because then it makes me, like, I don't know. I thought it would have been better, like, at least cleaner in regards to an ending.
Right.
But I think overall the finale was decent. I think the Nina Mazursky thing, though I think it took down in regards to the present day storyline, the finale, I think it was still a decent backstory in regards to her, because... going into it, even from the first episode, you knew her character wasn't evil. Like, she hadn't done anything bad. And that's pretty obvious why they left her backstory to last.
I have so many questions about her, but I'll let you finish because I have some thoughts on this. Like,
yeah, it's just I think everything that didn't have to do with the plot was done fairly decently. I think that's the biggest thing with the show, though. It is so incredibly forgettable. I don't understand. Like, for me personally, I don't get, like, I don't really feel any, like, emotional resonance with any of the stuff that really happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I can, like, you can say, okay, that's pretty sad with Nina Mazeski, but it doesn't make me go, oh my God, that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And once again, it just comes down to time spent. Like, I don't think you can really care too much if you're only there for 5 minutes.
I mean, I know the chat's going to probably be upset with me for this, but the way this series ended has me concerned for, like, the upcoming DC stuff. I just, especially the stuff that James is writing.
I disagree, to be completely honest. I think this show was never going to, for me personally, was never going to make me more excited or less excited for the DCU.
But why does it exist, though? That's the thing. I don't understand why this show exists.
I agree with you. I think Gunn wrote this literally in 2 weeks. I think the quality sort of suggests he wrote it in 2 weeks.
I think it's the worst thing he's ever written for a comic book movie, personally. I think it's worse than Guardians 2, which was...
Yeah, well, you know what? I agree with you there, because Guardians 2, the back half, I think is pretty good. While the first half is arse, the back half is pretty good. Like, it's like an 8.5 out of 10 back half. Well, I think this entire show is just sort of mid throughout.
Right.
So I would sort of... I think it just falls below Guardians 2. As for like the worst thing he's done. And worst doesn't mean like it's dog shit, but in regards to like the quality level, like it's down the bottom of the list. In regards to something he either wrote or directed. Yeah. People say Brightburn, he didn't write or direct Brightburn.
He was a producer for Brightburn, yeah. Cody here, member for 60 months. Good to see you, Cody. Hadn't seen you in a while. This show should have been done in timeline order. Yeah. Yeah, I think that might have helped it. Look, I want to talk about the whole season, but I want to talk about this episode specifically, especially Nina, because there's in a lot of ways, emotional manipulation happening on the show, especially with like Weasel and Nina, and especially in this episode, that have me a little bit confused. First and foremost, we finally get to see that Nina was not born this way. She was genetically manipulated. So essentially a manipulated metahuman by another person. It wasn't like an accident or whatever. This was done by her father to save her because she was born with her lungs not inside of her body. And so her father comes up with all these devices and things like that. And the whole time I'm thinking, while we're watching this backstory for Nina, what the fuck did she do to get captured and locked up for life in this like prison with all these other creatures? What did she do? Because you look at everyone else, including Weasel, whether you agree or not, there were reasons why they were fearful of these other characters. I think there was motive behind why they did that. Nina wasn't doing anything to anyone. She was just existing. In the worst case, she was homeless. But they've talked about metahumans existing in this world for a long time, so there shouldn't have been anything necessarily weird about a person that looks like a fish, because they've had metahumans, right? They've existed in this world for a while, and she's one of the youngest members of the team. She's probably the youngest member of the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
So why was she locked up? Like she'd committed a crime. What did she do?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's something that Gunn might explore. Where there was something with certain things and stuff like that in the history of the thing.
She wasn't even questioned. This isn't like Weasel where she can't speak, or GI Robot, or a criminal like Dr. Phosphorus. She's a person. They locked her up, and there was no explanation for why she was kept locked up.
Yeah.
And to go even further, there's no reason she should have been on this mission in the first place. What purpose did she serve in this team that made any sense for her to be there?
I don't know. I think the only thing I can think of is that she was somewhat level-headed, but then because I think it was like,
but that's what Rick Flag was there for.
Yeah, but I think in regards to like a monster that was level-headed. So like Weasel, it was only there because he survived the Corto Maltese thing. while everyone else is there because they probably like. I mean, Dr. Foster is obviously GI Robot, obviously because they're overpowered,
and even the bride is like a strong.
Well, and also the bride's
She-Hulk
just like
type
level-headed, once again level-headed, but
Right.
is ruthless at the same time.
But Nina being there, if you think about it, like logically, why would Amanda Waller put Nina in that situation? And then you think about it, and this is where I think James Gunn's writing sort of suffers. It's so the bride can do what she does to the princess at the end. That's the only reason she's even there on the team. And there's no way that Amanda Waller could have ever predicted that happening.
So she's there purely to die.
Yes.
She's used it as an emotional like.
Yeah, because think about it. What other reason? They weren't fighting near water. The only water they ever encountered was in that moment, and even Amanda Waller couldn't have predicted that. So this is like a European area where it's in the middle of the mountains or whatever. There's no water there. If they were doing a mission where they had to do some swimming or there was some type of underwater espionage, that would have made sense to me. But giving her this tragic backstory and then putting her in the team specifically to die to set up the bride to actually go after the princess, that's not great writing for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm concerned. Like all the other episodes, you can sort of justify why they're there on the team, what their reasons for being there are. Thank God for David Harbour's Frankenstein, because that character actually felt like it helped is a psychopath character, not a good character at all. Like in terms of morally, but again, it's not a person. Frankenstein is in this regard is a monster, right? That's the purpose of this character. So he's there as that character, but there's a bit of humanity that David like sprinkles in there, during the show where sometimes you're like, oh, this is a good, and then it flips over and he does something fucking crazy and you're like, no, this is not a good person, right? So that's what you're thinking about when you're watching it. But Nina's introduced as a completely innocent person just there to be killed off for emotional reasons.
Yeah. And they had to take out GI Robot early as well, just because they needed a bit more like flexibility emotion wise. They couldn't have had him walking around while they were doing some of the stuff like after that episode that he dies, or quote unquote like is dismantled. Yeah, I think it's for me, as I said, I think it is very inconsistently written. I think it's very like lazily written and just sort of like, I'm surprised it was greenlit. Even though Gunn wrote it, I am surprised they pushed forward it. But at the same time, it is like animated and like they pushed it to the side. They only seem to really try and promote it too much as a DCU project, like in the last month leading up to it coming out. Like everything before that, Gunn was saying, yeah, it's not really the start. And now he's saying like, oh no, it is the start. But it doesn't really, I think it's just because it's more, let's be honest, like more care, more attention, more just, like, we'll just care. Let's be honest, would have been put with the Superman script compared to this. Like, as I said, the quality suggests Gunn wrote this while he was on the toilet. Like while he needed to pass time by, he was like, I'm not going to play Angry Birds or ride Creature Commandos.
And what sucks is, so I think what happened here is we see where James Gunn hits a wall in terms of because he writes characters. Like he doesn't.
He's not plot. He's not plot.
Right.
He's not a story guy. He's a character.
Which is probably why the plot of the season was extremely weak, in my opinion, with the princess.
Well, I think it's that, but I think he also sacrifices even trying to it just so he can fall back on the characters.
Yeah. So if you subtract the idea of the plot being shit, yes, there's great character moments with each. I think each character had some good stuff to talk about. But when you kind of put it together to try and make it make sense, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And then we got that whole reveal about Clayface replacing the Doctor, and when Clayface replaced the Doctor, which by the way, is Clayface dead?
I was wondering that because he's still there. So, like, is he dead? Like, I know we're getting the movie. It's obviously going to be his origin, but are we just getting is this a fucking Black Widow situation where we're getting an origin story?
I'm so confused because the thing about it is you just took out like a character that should be around for a while. You killed him in Creature Commandos. So what are we going to do with Clay? I mean, is Batman going to be some sort of a prequel now? I don't understand. You killed off a character in Creature Commandos that you're making a movie for later. I don't totally get it. I don't totally get it. But we get that reveal that was going on, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But the reality is, when the episode was over, and we're sitting there waiting for that end credit scene, which was pointless, by the way.
Yeah, the end credit scene was like, I was like, yeah, okay. I was expecting more. I think they should have probably swapped what actually was the final scene with the end credit scene, because the end credit scene was like, I guess whatever, but I was expecting something. Saying they advertised it, it was an end credit scene. I was expecting something a bit, at least, interesting.
Yeah, with Frankenstein. But we get that the episode wraps up, and we're sitting there after we're dealing with the emotional loss of arguably the only good character. Like when I say good, I mean like morally
like
good.
Like morally.
Yeah,
good,
the only good character in the episode or the show, which is Nina, and we're trying to rationalize that. I don't think, and this is the fault of like the shortness of the episodes, I think, and issues with the writing. I don't think we properly said goodbye to this character. I feel like this happened. She got revenge was placed on the princess by the bride, but there was no real. We didn't have time to catch our breath after this happened because it happened so late in the episode. By the time the episode wrapped up, it's like as a viewer, I felt like, well, that was fucked up. It didn't feel good. And I don't think it was supposed to feel good, but it didn't feel good in the sense that there was no real end to the story. Are we supposed to assume that Nina is gone and now we have this new team and that's it? And maybe in the next season they'll cover this? I don't really know.
I don't know. I think that I don't mind that because I think that just plays into like the Argus side of it, and it's just being essentially the Suicide Squad because they can't do the Suicide Squad anymore. So I don't necessarily mind there not being really a mourning period. And you can argue there was a tiny mourning period, which was the bride killing the princess, and
it wasn't satisfying to me.
I know. I agree with you there. I don't think it was necessarily done well or in a satisfying way, but it's also like I don't think it's necessarily. It's not like it's Superman dying and you get that mourning period and stuff like that where you're like reacting and stuff.
So the reason why I think I feel that way, and this is more of a criticism of the show, and this goes back to everything you've been saying since we started watching this, is the episodes are too short. And we did not learn about Nina until this episode, and then she was killed off in this episode. I think that was a big issue. Because yes, we learned to care about her over the season because you got little sprinkles of her here and there. But we've had this miss and match where sometimes an episode talks about the character that they're dealing with. Sometimes it's not completely, we don't completely understand why they're in that situation. Like I feel like the episodes need to be longer or more episodes per season. That's what I think, personally. I think episode was a big issue for me. All right. So let's talk about one of the comments that was made, and this was another confusing thing here, and this was with Dr. Phosphorus.
Well, quickly, before you start that, so in regards to the Clayface thing, because remember when they announced that Clayface movie, it was rumored that it wasn't Basil Karlo, it was the Matt Hagen version, and he does it through like is it archaeology or something? He gets. Do you think that was that the Basil Karlo version that died? Did they say that in the show?
Oh, I don't know.
So can anyone remember in the chat, was that the Basil Karlo version of Clayface? Because it has been said that apparently the Mike Flanagan script is based off Matt Hagen.
Right.
So...
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to find this out either. I don't think this... I literally think that this story was a complete throwaway story because James Gunn has made it very clear that he doesn't want these long, homework-driven seasons. So I don't think we're even going to go back to that. I personally don't think we're going to go back to it. I think... unless they... what's going to happen with Cersei? Is she still?
I'm sure she's still locked. She's still locked up.
I don't know. Actually, before we talk about this, Lone Wolf had a $2 super chat. Thank you, Lone Wolf. Which backstory hit you the hardest? Fave character. So my favorite character was Frankenstein, and then probably the Bride after that. Only because, to be completely honest, I think they were two of the best fleshed out characters in the series. I think the two of them we spent the most time with. As far as backstory hitting me hard, I would probably say Nina's. Only because she's the one character that literally did nothing wrong. She didn't do anything. Like, she didn't rob someone. She didn't accidentally get somebody killed. She wasn't mistaken for committing a crime. She wasn't like, she did nothing wrong at all, which is still why I don't even understand she was being locked up in the first place. So I would say that's probably, what for me, that's probably one of my tops there. What about you, Paigey? Any thoughts on this for the show?
Backstory. I mean, favorite character. It's probably between. Yeah, it's probably the bride, I'd say, just because she gets more stuff. She gets more, like, she has like a really focused episode. Like, she in that episode, 2 episodes, she gets the backstory, and she's also in the present day really a lot. So she probably gets the best focused episode.
Yeah.
In regards to the backstory, I guess. I mean, I don't think any of them really hit me too much. I mean, if one where I was like, okay, that's really sad, it's probably the Nina one.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for the Weasel one too much.
So I know that we'll probably go back and forth with other people, because I know Darren really liked the Weasel one. It felt so contrived to me that I just was like, okay, that one scene where he's running with the child and they're shooting at him, that scene did hit for me, but the rest of it, I'm like, why are we even, like, we couldn't pick a more comprehensive backstory for this character. This is the one thing that we're going to cover, I guess. Okay. All right. Yeah. But I get it. Some people might prefer that. But this was another thing. We're talking about the whole we keep going back to Batman, because I feel like Batman's villains being included in so many different things is going to make this a very tough story. Look, I don't think there's any way right now, based on characters that we're being introduced to and like the Clayface movie and all this stuff, that people will be able to go into this Batman movie whenever it happens and not have to have some homework to look at. I don't believe that.
That homework thing. I mean, the fact that he says, "Oh, it doesn't have to be an origin story," means that you're telling people to do homework.
Yeah. So,
like, especially like a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, Dr. Phosphorus mentions that he's not been able to be touched like that for 15 years. This means that Batman defeated Phosphorus about 15 years ago in the DCU. Now, a lot of people might say, well, we don't know that for sure, but we would know that it's been at least 15 years since he's been locked up.
Well, no, it's been, for me, it's been 15 years since he became Dr. Phosphorus.
Well, possibly, but that would mean that Batman has been active in that 15 years.
But we saw he like built that crime thing. Like, how long was he in that montage? Like, I don't know if it's specifically said.
I don't think it didn't feel very long to me. It
felt
but
like
it was a very short time.
But it probably wasn't just like over 2 months. It was probably,
I would still say that would put Batman at over a decade as Batman.
Still, it's even like with the GI robot thing. Like, when he was like, how long is he? Like, there was no real time period on that.
Right.
Stuff that Gunn might have done that intentionally so he didn't box himself in.
But even giving him a few years time, it still puts Batman at over a decade as Batman.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. So yeah, I mean, because the thing about it is, you would think like 15 years plus ago that backstory would have been even more dated in terms of like where they're at. So where he started to be becoming like the criminal mastermind or whatever he was. I feel like giving him about 5 years would be enough time for him to accomplish that, personally, because we're talking about superhero time, so things don't always make sense, But I would say Batman, we're looking at least a decade with him being Batman. So
how long was Ben Affleck Batman in the DCU when we first met him? Just a question.
However, no, it's Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. I finally got some.
Oh.
So, but you sent me something. I wanted to talk about this as well. Let's see if I can find it. So this one right here. Andy Muschietti said he had conversations with James Gunn about the Brave and the Bold story concept, but claims he hasn't spoken to Gunn since before Superman started filming.
Which was like, what? Like, when was that? Like April of last year? So almost a year ago.
So does that mean that he is not going to be the director for this movie?
Look, I must say it's been sort of really interesting to watch. Just like be a bit of a spectator, and people watch on Twitter and even like places like TikTok and stuff like that. I personally think it's a really bad idea to merge Robert Pattinson's Batman and the DCU. I don't think it works. Doesn't make sense, both in regards to just what we saw in the first Batman film, in regards to the world that he's in. but also what we've seen so far in the DCU through the limited, I must say, parts of Creature Commandos. But I don't see Robert Pattinson's Batman being like have been able to take on Dr. Phosphorus or that Clayface or anything like that. I feel like you'd have to change it. You have to do you have to almost do like pseudo sequels essentially in regards to the Batman 2 or anything within the DCU as well.
Andy said the Batman of Matt Reeves is obvious he's not from the new universe. That's what Andy said.
Yeah, but that's him saying that. But then again, he's fucking last time he talked to Gunn was almost a year ago. So
I know. I had this bookmark before you sent that to me. I was like, this is a good discussion to have. Like, we could talk about this, but it's so utterly confusing because we are now a week into 2025 and we know Superman's right around the corner. We know that Supergirl is going to be filming soon with Lobo and all that. Clayface is going to be a movie, but there's nothing else. The wheels are not turning for anything. You would think by now they would be working towards other things.
To be honest, I think a lot of the stuff, it's really concerning because I really want this to succeed. And like, I'm not anyone, like I don't want this to not, I don't want another reboot or a place with no like world. This is the last chance. So you have to want it to work. If this doesn't work, you're not going to interconnect your universe unless they try again in 20 years, once Warner Brothers has probably sold DC or something. Mm-hmm. So I really want this to work, but I think, honestly, you have to be delusional, I think. Delusional. Like, thong song to the brain, sort of like, to not think that there's an issue like this.
Well, one Marvel fan is I don't want to get ahead of themselves in case Superman fails, but it's obvious though. It's obvious that that's what's happening. Well, it's obvious they have a handful of things they're going to do, but everything else is on hold.
Do you think that Matt Reeves doesn't hate the idea of folding in Pattinson's thing, which might allow Matt Reeves to pretty much control a lot of Batman-orientated stuff, even though he already is for the most part? But do you think he doesn't mind the idea of folding them in, but he wants to wait and see? I don't know if he's seen Superman. You think he might have, but maybe he hasn't. But I don't know. You think maybe, but even if he hasn't, he's waiting to see how Superman performs because he doesn't want to connect. Okay, we're going to connect it now. We're going to film a post-credit scene where Robert Pattinson's Batman shows up. He doesn't want to do that. He wants Superman to be on its own and perform well in the box office, and then they'll be like, okay, now let's go. We're going to fold them in, which I don't want. I just don't think it works. That I've seen people say like side by side they look good. I don't give a fuck. They could look like, fries and a milkshake together. Like
this was one of the quotes from like a video interview, I guess, where it says Matt Reeves said the possibility of Robert Pattinson's Batman joining the DCU really comes down to whether or not it makes sense. What the future brings, I can't really tell you, but we have to see where that goes.
And that shows no sign of confidence in regards to either way. It sounds like he doesn't know if it's going to fold in, but also he has no idea if it's going to stay
I can tell you this: if it's going to take him 5+ years to make a movie each time in a universe where Batman is going to be tossed around in everything.
But it's not even crazy. That. They're not going to release Brave and the Bold for another 2 years minimum. 2 years minimum after Batman Part 2. So if it comes out 2027, clause on that, end of 2027, October.
Right.
The earliest you'll get Batman Brave and the Bold is in that late back half of 2029. 4 years after this DCU is started. So that's your first Batman focused thing. Batman will probably show up before, but then again, we don't know what version of Batman it's going to be. They're not going to put Robert Pattinson's Batman probably in a program.
Okay, well, here's the crazier thing, Paige.
Before Part 2.
If they were to fold... Okay, so let's follow this all the way through. If they were to fold the Batman into the DCU, what does that mean for all of the other Bat projects that they have planned? Anything they have planned. You know what I mean? Like any spinoffs they have with Robins or anything like this Batman doesn't have that history.
Well, yeah,
which means that he would exist in a world at this state without all of those other characters, which would make it very difficult for them to do like Dr. Phosphorus, like you were saying, or that version of Clayface.
We have that Teen Titans movie, which is meant to have a Robin in it, and we're led to believe it's Dick Grayson, which then ties into Brave and the Bold. And there's also I saw a report the other day where people believe that they flipped Brave and the Bold. Brave and the Bold was meant to be in production now, like with a script properly being written, but now Teen Titans has replaced that schedule. So wherever they'll initially plan to release Brave and the Bold, that's where Teen Titans is now going to come out, which could be, I guess, maybe in 2027. Then that confuses the fuck out of you because you have Batman Part 2 coming out and then you're having a Robin show up in a movie in the same year potentially.
I want these two things to be separate. I want the DCU to be its own thing. I want this Batman world to be its own thing, because I don't believe either of them have a clear direction right now. I think the DCU is in a little bit of disarray already. I think the Batman universe is being pushed back again. I don't think this movie makes 2027.
Well, I
think this movie is like 2028 or later, to be honest.
Well, regardless of the Batman Part 2 stuff, so have you seen that thing? Like, you might be able to just type it into. I wonder if you can just type it into Google.
What are you seeing? What thing?
That writer's room that Gunn has. Okay, here he is. You just type in DCU Architects. Actually, I'll just bring it up. I'll share my screen.
I mean, I think I have it right here. Hold on.
Yeah, that one. So you can just.
Is it right here? Yeah.
So you have James Gunn obviously there, and you have Peter Safran on the far right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a feeling there's too many cooks in the kitchen?
Are these all writers?
These are all people that Gunn is using as like advisors and stuff. Some of them, like you have Tom King there. The woman on James Gunn's right, I think she's show running Waller, I think.
Okay.
That's Jeremy Carver in the back there with the glass. I think that's Jeremy Carver. I think that's Jeremy Carver. That's Drew Goddard, the guy of James Gunn's right, which is weird that he's in there because he's like a director and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm just wondering if there's like just too many cooks in the kitchen in regards to it, and it's sort of like shaping, like changing minds and stuff like that.
Is it wrong for us to put James Gunn in like the Kevin Feige position? Is that wrong, or are we misunderstanding what he's supposed to be doing? Because it seems to me like he's part of a think tank, and he's just the yes man for the think tank, and he's not really.
Well, the issue is not necessarily if James Gunn's a yes man; it's if the people around him are.
Well, no, I mean the yes man in terms of like greenlighting stuff, like saying yes to projects.
That's what I was going to say, but then they contradict certain things or they conflict in agreement. So there's too much yes man going on, but because then you just yes man you yes man yourself to a point where you end up with a script and went, oh, this is fucking ass for like 80% of it, like 20% of it where the original idea is good, but the rest is not very good. So I don't know. I think it is concerning that things aren't moving along, but I think we got to judge it.
How do we have this many people and things aren't moving along? That's a little concerning to me because we have this many people involved and we haven't talked about another project yet.
Yeah. Well,
so
there's
what
more
are they
than
doing?
this as well. Like that Anna Nagura is not in this photo, and she's written Supergirl, that's currently writing Teen Titans apparently. So she's obviously someone that Gunn would probably fold into this group as well.
Kevin Feige, I don't have it as a story today, but I'm going to mention it here because I think it is important, said that the script for the first of the two-part Avengers movies, the Doomsday movie, should be completed by March, meaning they're working on it like right now. Why is it that he can say, we want the script to be done by March, and he's overseeing that to make sure that they have everything they need to get that script done, but James Gunn can't make that happen with people? Why is that? Why is that an issue? I understand that they're not the same person. Like, I'm not saying they should operate the same, but I think when you have these projects coming out and these big, massive films coming out, these TV shows you're working on, you have to have some sort of deadline for something to keep the ball rolling, because we can end up with like 2 years where nothing is coming out.
Yeah.
Where do we go after Clayface? Where are we going after that? That's at least, I mean, unless they rush to get that done, that's like 3 years away.
Well, I think everyone knows that Clayface is just there. Like, it's like when you're, I don't know, like when your pipe's leaking, you just wrap some tape or a cloth around it just to sort of hold the pressure until the plumber arrives. So that's what Clayface is. And I think Gunn's hoping that things move along, whether it's with Teen Titans, whether it's with, because it's obviously not going to be Brave and the Bold. That's something that's just not going to happen. So I think it'd just be like I think you don't want to hit. I don't know if it's panic. It's definitely not panic stations, but I think you'd have to be delusional.
No, I don't.
Like,
I know. Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I don't think the sky, like I say this every week because I know people are like, oh, you're just, you're freaking out or whatever. I don't think the sky is falling. I don't think this means that everything is DOA. I know some people in the chat probably are like, it's all dead. We hate James Gunn, whatever. I get it. A lot of Snyder people don't like him or whatever. I think James Gunn is very talented. I think what's happening here is from the perspective of seeing those announcements that were made, which I think we both agree that was a bad thing to do, that he should not have made.
Well, I still believe he didn't want to do it. I think he was forced to do it.
Coming out with that and saying this is what we're doing for the next 10 years or the first half of the 10 years or the first 3 years or whatever it was that he said back then. I think if you want to do this in a different way, it was probably better to not do that. And actually, you know what? One of the things that I said, I think we talked about this with Marvel, to make DC different from Marvel would be to focus on those individual projects and making them all really good and then bringing them all together when you're ready to bring them together. And I think that could still work for DC. The problem is we are still holding baggage from the DCEU, which I think is still a problem. You kicked off the new universe with a cartoon series that is R-rated. You say that people don't have to do homework, but clearly they're going to have to because a bunch of stuff was introduced in Creature Commandos that definitely will tie into Superman. And matter of fact, when I see that movie and any other movie that comes out with like connected characters of that, I'm going to be keeping score of what they say and do in those movies that required you to know that from Creature Commandos, because I think that's an important thing to pay attention to. Simply because it just is a thing. I also think him being chronically online has been a problem too. At first, I really liked it, but now I realize that's probably an issue. It's probably a reason why Kevin Feige doesn't do it. Shooting stuff down is great, like debunking misinformation, but by doing that, sometimes you open the door for more information, more misinformation, or confirmations of stuff, basically. So, I don't know. We got a couple super chats here. Let's go through these. Daddy Hates the Metal with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. My 28th birthday is next week. Well, happy early birthday. Hopefully you're free to join us next week. Is this Connected Universe off to the weirdest start? I want this universe to succeed long term. I am concerned though. I think that's a good way to be. Like, I want it to be successful, but I think we have to be realistic about some of this. And there's some things that I think are good. I think greenlighting projects that you're confident in is a good thing. I feel like having more of an open style to the universe, sort of like Star Wars, can be beneficial, but I still think there needs to be some sort of like plan in place to lead into like a big group film, because ultimately, as much as people may criticize like the Avengers movies, especially Age of Ultron, I think everybody gets excited after a few years getting like a group film with everybody together. And I think whether it's JSA or Justice League or Teen Titans or whatever it might be, I think there needs to be some sort of through line leading up to that, because otherwise you're going to see Darkseid in one movie, Doomsday in one movie, Brainiac in one movie, just all these big characters that can be used in larger ways as one-off villains. And I don't think that's going to satisfy people. I don't know, Paige, do you think that's right or you think that's wrong?
Well, I sort of get annoyed when, like, because I know you're sort of like reciprocating what people are saying about, like, you have those individual stories, but that's what the DCEU were doing after Justice League. Since Aquaman, they were doing those individual stories.
Fair enough. Okay.
And people were like, well, why isn't it connected? Why are we not building up to Justice League 2? But then it was just like, you can't win, and I thought they were doing a pretty good job with it. Like, I will stand by it until the movies start coming out and consistent projects, that I preferred what the DCU was building. DCEU, I say, was building up to. It sounded like a much cooler idea. But obviously, I'm hoping Gunn can change that. I'm hoping Gunn can do that. Yeah, but that's a wait and see. Like, we won't know that until, well, not even Superman. Like, probably until, I guess, maybe Lanterns, because things will start to play out a bit there. But I'm just hoping, like, it's weird. Like, I wouldn't mind if, like, you want Gunn to sort of stop being so chronically online, at least in comparison to other people in his position. Not necessarily a Feige, but just any other, like, even just a writer director. Like, I think you feel like he interacts with people a bit too much, and I think he does. We talked about before, like, he's almost like buddy. He's not your buddy. And also Gunn's the dude that, like, in these meetings would probably be yelling at people like that. If he's not, then he's not doing his job. Saying, like, get your fucking, do your job. Like, what are you doing? So I'm hoping that, like, once, like, the issue is that we don't have anything. We don't have anything until Superman. So we have to sit here for 6 months and go, okay, is this going okay? Because Supergirl can film That's fine. Lands can start filming, but we don't get to see what the product is.
Right.
I think you've seen enough projects where you see it, not even a trailer, but just behind the scenes, like, oh, that looks good. Then you see the finished product, it's like, that was fucking ass. So we have to wait till Superman to get any sort of inkling. And the thing is, if Superman doesn't hit, like okay, let's like hypothetically, you go into Superman, Eric. You think it's fine, you didn't like some stuff. Overall, you give it a 7.5. Right. What are your thoughts on the DCU going forward after that? I know people are going to get pissed off in the chat. It's like, well, that's hypothetical. That's the whole point. It's a hypothetical scenario.
Yeah. So wait, so it's not great? Is that what you're saying? Like a 7?
So you got your thoughts at the moment in regards to how this DCU's tracking. You go see Superman. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily great. It's just okay. You give it like a 7.5, maybe like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Mm-hmm. What is your thoughts going forward with DCU after that?
Well, I don't need movies to be 10 out of 10 for me. Like they don't have to be 10 out of 10. So I'm not thinking that for me personally that a movie has to be perfect. Like I never, like I love when that happens, but it's not perfect for me. Is more of a subjective thing because I honestly don't think there's a lot of 10 out of 10 movies objectively like that are just perfect from start to finish. I don't think there are. So for me, that sweet spot is between like a 7 and a 9, somewhere in there. So for me, that's a good sign. Like if I go in and I have fun with the movie and I walk out and I feel like I've enjoyed myself, that's a good sign for me. I think what I'm going to be keeping an eye on that doesn't matter to me personally, honestly, is how much money the movie makes, because I think that's what the studio is going to look at. So even if the movie is like a 5 out of 10, if the movie makes $800 million, the studio is not going to care about that. They're not. But if a movie is like received from fans like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, but then it only makes $300 million, the studio is going to be like, this is a disaster. You know what I mean? So that's just the reality of it, personally. And I don't want that to happen. I want the movie to be good, but I also want the movie to be financially successful just because I want to see the other projects. Just give me like a half dozen more movies to really flesh out this universe before you just flush it down the toilet.
Well, that's the position that they're in. Like, I think Warner Brothers would rather the movie be like a arguably forgettable, but it just be like okay, but it make 900 million.
Right.
Then for it to be like 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, best comic book movie ever, and it make 400 million.
Right. What about you? If you go in and you end up being disappointed, what are your thoughts? Like, and I'm not saying disappointed as in like it sucked, but disappointed as in it could have been a lot better. What are your thoughts going forward with that?
I think it depends on the specific aspects. Like, the thing is, I'm not expecting this movie to be incredibly detailed story-wise because Gunn's not that guy.
Right.
So I'm not expecting it. So if that's the case and it loses points because of the plot, it's like going into McDonald's and going, why are my fries fucking cold? Happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's more just in regards to the world building and there's contradictions there, and I just don't like the world that's being built. Also because I think there was also like the lack of promises, which the trailer for Superman highlighted, like the fact he said like the Metropolis was going to be like very
like retro-futuristic or sort
like
of
retro-futuristic to an extent, like not overly retro-futuristic,
like not 60s retro-futuristic, but like 80s retro-futuristic kind of.
But it just looks like downtown Cleveland nowadays. Like and I think it just comes down to cost. But he said that was going to be the case. I'm like, well, hold on, okay, well that's not there, and yeah, it's just stuff about that. So like, I think I'm not too worried about the story going into it. I'm not expecting the story to be amazing. Right. It's just stuff about the characterization of Superman, and I guess also the supporting characters. But seeing it's a Superman film, mainly that.
Oh yeah, I mean they have a ton. Like so, I'm not too concerned about the individual characters in the movie. I think James Gunn will get those solid, most likely, in the movie. Like we could talk about designs. Like I know we went back and forth about the whole Green Lantern and stuff like that. We talked about that, but I think in terms of like the characters themselves, I think I'm weighing more on the side of like, if the story itself is bad, the characters will probably still be really good. That's kind of what I expect from them.
I'd be surprised. Once again, it just comes down to whether they're what you expect the character to be.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have like my main concern going into it is really the story. I actually don't think some of the character interactions and the action scenes, I'm not too concerned about that. that's probably like for the closer to the day. But if you had to ask me the one thing I'm worried about, but let's just say like I think it's like a 7.5, like I said to you. Once it probably just ties more strictly into the world building. You know, I like Superman as a character, but he's not my top characters.
Right.
You know, so like it's not.
I'll be honest, I didn't really become a massive Superman fan until Superman and Lois. That's when I really started to love
that show's definitely grown my appreciation for the character way more than I used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I think that's where Gunn just needs to make people buy into the world. He doesn't necessarily have to make people buy into the character of Superman. But if he can make people buy into the world, then I think that's his main job, especially with a reboot of this sort. It's like, well, it's not even like a full reboot, but a very, you know, I get to do what I want reboot, if that makes sense.
We have a super chat about this from Cameron. Let's pull this up on the screen. $5 super chat. I know Matt Reeves is a slow writer, and Matt also has a lot of producing outside of the Batman properties. So I think the only thing I saw, I looked this up while we were chatting. I think he has like one other thing that he was working on, which was The Wrecking Crew, I think, which is an upcoming movie. Where is that here? Is he? What is his involvement with this? Let's see. And he's just the producer on that, so he's not really doing anything else.
I was gonna say The Wrecking Crew is that movie with fucking Sharon Tate in it. That's in.
Yeah.
Well, is he doing a remake of that?
Well, he's the producer of it. He's not involved with the writing or the directing. So he's not really working on anything at the moment. So what is the actual... Okay, I know there's probably something going on personally with him. I know people talked about that. I don't dig into the personal lives of like directors and stuff like that, writers. But somebody said there is something going on. I don't know what that is. But I will say delaying a movie as much as this movie has been delayed, I don't know how much grace I can keep giving on that. You know what I mean? Like as a fan, I don't know.
Yeah.
But not totally sure.
I was going to say this because we didn't say it before, but what did everyone in the chat, if you watch Creature Commandos, give it out of 10?
Yeah, you guys in the chat, give us your Creature Commandos out of 10. I'll give my score here in a second as well once you guys drop yours. But Daddy Hates the Metal says the MCU started off a bit disconnected, I think, too, with GL Super Chat. Well, that's because they weren't sure. The first 2 or 3 movies, they didn't know if they were ever going to get like a proper thing because there was risk in those first 2 or 3 movies.
We also got to remember that it was through Paramount.
Right.
Up until Avengers, it was Paramount.
Because that was before Disney basically came in and started giving them money because of a buyout. But yeah, I think that they said that if those movies wouldn't have succeeded, those early movies wouldn't have succeeded, we would have never had the MCU. I think the MCU's connectivity really started to pull together right before Avengers, and then after that, all the way leading into Infinity War and Endgame, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But all right, so let us look and see what the chat is saying here. So Lone Wolf says 8.5 out of 10.
Oh wow.
Zuza 8 out of 10. Cam says 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Bob with the troll comment, -6 out of 10. Jasmine with a 7 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. Okay. Fetman says 8 out of 10. Cameron says 8 out of 10. I would say for me, it's probably around a 6.5 to 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's just above average for me personally, and that's not.
Yeah, I probably land on like a realistic. 7. I probably land on like a 7, maybe as a generous 7.5. I think it's just that it's like just the episode structure is pretty bad because it's only like 20 minutes and then they decide to split it 50-50 in regards to flashbacks and stuff. But it's also like I think it's got enough there with the character interaction and stuff to give it points. So I think like somewhere around the 7, whether it's 6.5 to 7.5 is pretty fair. I think that's where it lands.
Zaya says a Diddy out of 10. So.
What is a Diddy? What's it? I know you love Diddy, so it's a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let's continue the Matt Reeves discussion here. Matt Reeves says they're currently trying to find the right idea for the Penguin season 2 and figure out how it would align with the Batman 2. I mean, you don't even have the script yet. You know what I mean? Like the Penguin ended to set up the Batman 2. So if you're going to do a second season of the Penguin, it should technically come after Batman 2.
If Penguin season 2 is going to come out after the Batman 2, then it won't be happening. It has to come out before if it's going to happen.
How do they do that though?
Well, I guess you just rewrite it.
I mean, I guess they could. Well, look, the issue is there's no way people are buying now that the Batman 2 comes out like a week after the Penguin show at this point. There's no way. It's been too much time. They're going to have to time jump the movie.
What if they gave the Penguin the ability to time travel, like the Flash, like it's like speeds to powers?
I feel like they have to time jump, or
like
they have
umbrella.
to. Maybe. But I feel like they have to time jump, or they have
actually,
to
you know what that would be? That would be a really good
Yeah.
entry point and segue into him being connected to the DCU with the larger fantastical aspect. The Penguin has like a magical umbrella that can time travel. Do you see that through line there?
That sounds like shit to me, personally.
To me, it sounds arse, but also imaginative.
Could you imagine if Barry Allen showed up, the Flash from the CW, and then takes this Penguin and runs him into the DCU? So that way we have a crossover. What about that?
No, I want Ezra Miller. I want Ezra Miller's Flash to come in, missing a tooth, like at the end of the Flash movie, with George Clooney's Batman. That would be.
That actually sounds like the perfect way to wrap it up. I totally agree with that one. No, I like being honest about this. I don't know how they make this work prior or pre Batman 2. I just don't know how they do that, personally.
There's always a way, Eric. There's always a way.
Maybe.
Penguin's tuxedo is from the Speed Force.
That would be great.
What if Penguin's tuxedo is made of that material? You know when those people give them the board shorts, and if you jump in water, it fades away?
What about that?
Or what if he just went out in the water or the rain and it just melted?
I don't know about that one. I don't know if I feel for that one. I think
Really?
James Gunn being on... It's not even comedy. It's like being locked in. Or geeked out. I don't
Geeked
know.
out. It's being geeked.
Cam with the $5 super chat. I think James Gunn being online is a good thing because there's a lot of rumors that kind of hurt the DCU that James Gunn can say that's not... Basically say no to the rumor. Okay. So I feel differently about this now where we are now opposed to where we were like a year ago. By doing that and not doing it to certain rumors makes people believe that those rumors are confirmed. Which is why I think Kevin Feige stayed away from doing that. Because, say for example, you have 3 rumors come out in a week, and James Gunn debunks 2 of those 3 rumors and does not acknowledge the third one. Then all of a sudden people believe that third rumor is true, and that's why he hadn't said anything about it. So I think the issue is, and this is probably one of the problems he's ran into, is like with castings. If they drop 3 names and James Gunn debunks 2 of those 3 names, then that means it must be the third person, according to scoopers online and stuff. So I think there's a detriment to it. Yes, it can be beneficial, but it can also be a fucking problem as well. So you have to figure out which one works the best for you. And I guess Kevin Feige said, I'm just not going to comment on anything. Lone Wolf here with the $2 super chat. Thoughts on King Shark for season 2? Didn't talk about it. Is that the same King Shark from the Suicide Squad? It looks the same, like the same design.
It's the same one. I don't know. Was it Sylvester Stallone doing the voice? Because it didn't sound like him.
I don't know.
But obviously, he voiced him in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they would have got him just to say one line.
I feel like that would have been a big paycheck for a cartoon, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, look, I like that version of King Shark. I think that was a great version. I enjoyed that character in the Suicide Squad.
It's a different actor, apparently, according to Anthony Cheeseman.
Yeah.
It not surprised me because it was just one line.
But I don't. Again, I feel like this is.
It's Diedrich Bader.
Really? Is that confirmed?
Really? That's random. Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei. Oh, you don't get that reference, Eric? That's
No, it did confirm that Diedrich Bader. Yeah.
Don't get that reference, Eric?
I do get the reference. Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
one of his great roles, Diedrich Bader.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, what a good movie.
Hold on. There we go.
I can see the comparison.
But again, this is one of those things where it just more or less confirms that the Suicide Squad was in the DC. I know he keeps saying it's not, but I don't see why you wouldn't just keep it at this point.
Well, I feel like he has said it. He just sort of said like, yeah, like the most of the events are there. I think like the ones that aren't is like stuff that like when Bloodsport says he shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, or they say that he did. Like that's probably not in there. I hope there's like things that they take out. Like I wouldn't mind it if like Captain Boomerang didn't die, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have to wait and see what they choose to pick and well, trash and keep.
Cameron's with a $2 super chat. Have you seen the Absolute Flash comic details? No, I haven't. Is that on? Let's see if that's on Twitter. I'll pull it up here. We got time.
We got time. Yeah.
Absolute Flash. All right. I don't see the details. I do see the cover though. All right. Okay, we got a few things here. Let's pull this up. Pull it up. It's like being locked in or geeked out. So these were the details that came out in October of last year, but I'm assuming you're talking about the variant covers. We'll look at those as well. But DC reveals a first look at Absolute Flash. This is going to be Wally West. So there's no Barry Allen in the Absolute Universe, I guess?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. We looked at the Rogues here. Oh, let's see. I think they showed some covers, variant covers. Here we go. So here are the... Let's pull this up on the screen. Here are the variants covers. That's a look at Wally there. I don't know if I like that. Look at that logo, the emblem. I know you're laughing. What do you think? You got to give your opinion because you're laughing.
Oh, it just looks goofy. Goofy.
Okay, so I know they got a lot of shit for changing like the Batman emblem into like an axe on the chest and everything. Is it okay? So trying to be nice about this. I don't mind a redesign. I think redesigns are kind of fun. The Absolute Universe is definitely taking us in a different direction. The whole dark side influence and stuff. I get that. I don't like this. I don't really have anything positive to say about it, to be completely honest. I guess I could say that I think it's like a throwback to the 90s because it looks almost like a jacket. I guess it is a jacket because there was like a zipper on this other... Like right here you can see where it looks like it folds up on the chest. So it is sort of a jacket.
It's like it folds over. It's like Jay Garrick's or something.
Yeah.
Flash season 2.
I don't know. What do you think, Paige? You give me your opinion on it.
I mean, I don't really care for the design. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it just matters if the story's decent.
Yeah. So there is a better shot of the whole suit here from last year. I guess I didn't see this. But this is the look of the suit. With basically tennis shoes on it. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to think.
You know what popped into my head just then?
What?
I was wondering if you bought that red baseball cap you said you were thinking about buying.
No, I did not buy a red baseball cap. Oh, there's another cover apparently here that we didn't see that was from last year. I didn't see any of this?
I mean, I don't mind that. That looks pretty cool.
I don't like the logo. I don't like that Flash logo, personally. Hold on, let's see here.
I don't
They said
wanna
details. I'm
be.
looking for details. I don't see any details.
The details are upon the eye of the beholder, Eric.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at. And what's this? As a straight man, I say that look gay. What?
So I just want to go through and look at some of the designs here. So this was the Batman design, where he's kind of like a bodybuilder type look or whatever. The Superman design.
Is that Iron Fist? Is that Peacemaker behind him? What the hell's going on?
It's
there?
a bunch of peacemakers. Yeah. They're like a military force. Wonder Woman
with her henna tattoos.
and the Flash.
Are they meant to be coming together? Is there meant to be an Absolute Justice League series coming?
Yeah.
So there's a Martian Manhunter one, isn't there?
Yes, he looks really weird. I saw the picture of that. He looks really, really, really weird. Cameron, the $5 super has the No Flash family and the Speed Force possibly. So I think doing away with the Speed Force is actually a good thing in this universe because the Speed Force kind of broke things for DC. And as much as I like it and think it's fun, it's an undefinable metaphysical existence that just doesn't always work. So I think by making it not the Speed Force, it disconnects this world in a different way. And I'm okay with that. No Flash families, probably because there's no Speed Force. That's most likely why. There's not a lot of speedsters for that reason. So
I think Batman's new symbol is meant to be like a skateboard. He shreds on it when he.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think he plays like Tony Hawk.
Yeah. All right, so we did hit the goal for tonight. Thank you guys, everybody that contributed. I do appreciate it. Right now, Paige, you'll be happy to know that the thing that's winning the poll with 71 votes is top 5 DCU dream projects. So,
thank God.
You don't want to talk about Arrowverse ships? It's not not in the cards for you.
Not really. Not necessarily. Not particularly.
Are you feeling kind of hungry, Paige? Let's talk about Army Hammer. He's a little hungry, I guess, sometimes. But apparently, I thought this was funny. So he's back. He's talked to several people about coming back to Hollywood and trying to get jobs back and things like that. Do you remember the whole thing about him, like all what basically got him canceled for like a couple of years?
Yeah. I think
it was like exposed for a cannibal fetish or something like that.
It wasn't even that. It was like he spoke to someone about like one fan. He was probably the best example of someone getting canceled like just randomly and like I would arguably pretty harshly because it wasn't really like directed at anyone. But he was also like caught in the height of like people bored during COVID from memory. Like it was like during COVID, I think it happened. I might be wrong, but I feel like it was during COVID. Yeah. And it was like the height of like people being bored. Yeah. You know, like people were just bored and went, oh fuck, we'll just do this.
Well, get this. He's going to be in a movie called The Dark Knight.
That's what the concerning bit. It's the Uwe Boll. He's fucking ass.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
He's a horrible director.
100%. But listen to the description. Follows a vigilante who hunts down criminals. It says, our movie is very different from Christopher Nolan's movie, so there's no danger of confusion. I mean, it's called The Dark Knight. It's about a vigilante. So unless there's some weird twist that we're not aware of, it feels derivative to me of the Batman movies.
It's very odd. It's pretty odd. I'm weird. Like, is there like a trademark thing? Like, or maybe he's filming it internationally, so it doesn't matter. I'm assuming that if it gets released in America, it'll be called something different. Because Uwe Boll does his stuff in Europe.
Well, I think they have to create a tagline, so it could be like Dark Knight, the blah 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 whatever.
I think if they release that in America, I have a feeling because it's like Avengers. Like Avengers had to be called Avengers Assemble in England, and I think
because of the Avengers movies and TV show. Yeah,
because they're like that British show from the 60s or 70s, whatever it is.
Yeah, the first Avengers movie. The other ones were fine because they all had subtitles, basically.
Yeah,
or subtitles in the thing. So, okay. So, how about this, Pagey? Superman trailer has now surpassed Man of Steel's trailer to become the most watched solo Superman trailer ever.
Well, the third trailer, official trailer 3. Why is the third? Why?
What were you gonna say?
Well, it's official. There's a third trailer.
But I think the third trailer was the one with the highest views.
I think it was the most viewed, yeah. I mean, I don't think it really means anything. And also, I don't know if comparing to Man of Steel, because Man of Steel didn't break the box office. I don't necessarily know if it's meant to be this amazing comparison.
Zaya says the Man of Steel teaser was better.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that. I think you had to go see the Dark Knight Rises, didn't you? To get to see that, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
From memory, I know. Obviously, there might be people that were too young.
But you guys have to remember though that Man of Steel was Christopher Nolan had a lot to do with that movie.
He wrote it. He co-wrote it.
Yeah, they talk about the impact of Zack Snyder, but that movie, he had help from Christopher Nolan.
Snyder just directed it. It was co-written by Goya and Nolan, produced by Nolan. It was advertised almost to feel like it was Nolan's movie.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you had to go see Dark Knight Rises at least for the first.
Which is why a lot of people thought that Superman was going to be in the universe with Christian Bale because of that.
Yeah. Well, that was I guess I think the original intention, and they decided to not go down that route. But yeah, I remember going to see Dark Knight Rises and seeing that teaser and everything. It was pretty cool. It's definitely one of the better teasers. I do actually agree with you. I think that teaser is better than this Superman teaser in regards to like a hype sort of thing, which is really well done.
Well, there wasn't a lot of baggage before it also because the DCEU created a lot of baggage for the DCU. So.
Yeah, so you're coming off the Dark Knight trilogy and you're about to watch the final thing.
So Lone Wolf, if you've noticed when we talk about Twitter stuff, I've dropped a lot of those reportedly and possibly or whatever. We do from time to time joke about them, but it just became a point where it's like I just chose to pick more reputable stuff to talk about. Not because I don't want to talk about those things, but there's just so many of them. There's so many of those accounts just saying stuff that unless I see a link to it that's like from a podcast or from an article or something where there's some sort of actual source behind it, I try not to talk about any of those things anymore. Trying to be a better person, I guess. It's the best way to put it. Speaking of, we have some Star Wars stuff. James Mangold's Star Wars movie about the origins of the First Jedi set 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga. Because I'm not interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point. It's almost immovable and you can't please anybody. That's pretty based. To be honest. I mean, to be fair here, I'm going to segue a little bit into Skeleton Crew. I have a thing I want to talk about with that. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you prefer the more connected or disconnected stuff? What are your thoughts on this?
I think at this point you have to be like sort of remove yourself. There's only so much time in there and everything like that, and you're just going to upset people because you're like, well, I wanted you to focus on this. It's like, we never said we were. It's like, I don't care. I wanted you to focus on this. So like, as long as you don't try and like remove the core of what Star Wars is or what people enjoy about Star Wars from it, and I think that's 100% fine.
We also saw a possible the N. Snyder here. We're going back to Twitter shit already. I just said I wasn't going to do this. Anyway, he's hit or miss, but this is interesting. So Rory McCain will reportedly play Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka season 2. Thoughts on this? Are you a fan of the Hound?
The Hound.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
I mean, I didn't really.
Is it a W or an L?
It's like a IDC. Like, I don't really care.
Is it because you didn't care about the Baylan Skoll character, or you just don't care about the recast?
Well, I just didn't really care for Ahsoka too much of a show, as a show. I thought it was just okay.
Right.
I mean, I finished it, so I didn't hate it, but.
Hold on, let's see. I'm not going to do that.
Did you see that tweet about George Miller meeting with Kevin Feige, apparently?
No.
Hold on.
If you can find it, we'll talk about it.
Like, I don't need to find it. Found it. There's no process of finding needed because I've already found it. I've sent it.
Wait, did you send it to me or are you sharing it?
No, I sent it to fucking Lance. Like,
sometimes you share your screen. I don't always know. So. All right. Let's do this.
Just one of those days.
George Miller met with Kevin Feige and expressed a desire to direct Thor. Oh no. No. I like George Miller. I don't see him for this personally.
What if it's Thor? It's Mad Max, but it's just Thor. You put Thor in Mad Max. He's on like a desolate wasteland. He's a cannibal.
I don't see that personally. I just don't.
Really?
I don't know. Okay, so anything's better than the last movie. I think the last movie for me was the worst Thor movie. It's even worse than the second one. I'll fight people over that. I think the second one is much better than Love and Thunder. But I don't know if this is the right direction for that. But I also want to point out because I am a community notes contributor, there is one that's only visible to contributors. We're going to look at it right here. This is at best a rumor, but the source, World of Real, is not reliable in the slightest for Marvel News. For example, they made up a Captain America 4 had a $375 million budget and 4 months of reshoots. It was all debunked by the Hello Reporter. This is the highest rated community note under this before it goes live to everybody. So I guess World of Real is not reliable in any way.
I don't know. You've believed it before.
Well, you sent it to me, so...
Well, yeah, but that wasn't the Sound of Freedom 2, and you're like, oh my god, so excited. My name's Eric.
Also, there's a rumor, I tried to find it, but this is also from the Insider, that Mr. Freeze is going to be the villain for the Batman Part 2. How would you know that when the script isn't even written?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, Eric. Maybe they're clairvoyant.
I don't know, maybe. I had another topic here that I had set. Oh, this one. Here it goes. Are you a fan of 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later, 28 Months Later? Are you a fan of these movies?
I'm a fan of 28 Beers Later, and it's Eric passed out on the floor, arguably dead.
I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about Skeleton Crew. So, 28 years later, story details have been revealed. Follows a community on Holy Island, a section of land only connected to the UK when the tide recedes each day. The rest of the world remains relatively unaffected from zombies, except the UK. That's really interesting, actually. So the UK is kind of like zombie world, like real zombie world.
Or Zombie Land.
I would call it zombie world because it sounds like it's more impactful to me.
I'd call it like Zombie Crumpet or something like that. I don't know, like... Or like Hogwarts?
I would call it Zombie Locked In because you're locked in to that place.
Or like 28... I don't know, 28... Well, you can have a gay parody, 28 Queers Later. That'd be a very interesting... if the parody people want to come out.
That sounds more like some sort of a movie that's inappropriate for everybody. By the way, yeah, go ahead.
Out there. I'm just putting it out there. If anyone, actually, that's a really good idea, Anthony Cheeseman. Sound of Freedom 2, more sound, more freedom.
Oh, there we go.
Do we need more sound though? Was it loud, Eric? The first time you watched it?
I didn't watch it.
First 28 times you watched.
What did you think of like the ultra buff GI robot here?
I don't know. Is he just going to be like an Iron Giant Hulkbuster sort of thing now, or?
Because it seems to me like he might not even be like the whole.
But he just looks like he'll have like just like rockets and everything. Like he might be very overpowered.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't necessarily. I guess you have to wait and see what it's like in action. And they might do something where maybe he's not even there. Like they don't use him really. They might think about, okay, maybe he's a bit too much.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna talk about this and then we will wrap everything up here. So, first of all, I want to point out there that Cosmic Book News is a piece of shit site. No one should ever use it for anything realistic. It's garbage. They put out a lot of clickbait. But I want to talk about this specifically because I think it's really interesting. So, when Skeleton Crew came out, it was one of those things where a lot of people that had talked negatively about Star Wars agree that the show was okay. Like, it wasn't amazing, best Star Wars project ever, but it wasn't one of the bad ones. It was actually a pretty solid Goonies meets space adventure. And there wasn't a lot of negative to say about it. Looks really nice. Story's really interesting. It's got good mystery. A lot of that. Well, what I've been seeing now is a lot of those people, instead of promoting it as a good Star Wars thing that people should support, they keep going back to the negative stuff. Like the Acolyte viewership and all that bullshit. So it says here, sorry folks, Skeleton Crew has even worse ratings than the Acolyte. Fans no longer care about Star Wars. Okay. Fans no longer care about Star Wars. Skeleton Crew suffers worse ratings on Disney+. So if you are a fan of Star Wars, this is not really a rhetorical question because I'll give my answer. But if you're a fan of something and you've disliked some of their stuff, and they come out with something that you do like, wouldn't you do everything within your power to go, hey, this is actually really good, maybe you should check it out because I think it's a return to form, for this thing that we used to love, instead of like beating the dead horse? Because if you're beating the dead horse, then that tells me it was never about how good something was. It was about just being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because why would you do that? I think Skeleton Crew has been a lot of fun. Is it the most memorable Star Wars project I've ever seen? No. Do I think it's more engaging than some of the stuff we've had previously? Yes. I think it's more consistent. I think Acolyte was a little up and down. I did enjoy it, but I think Acolyte was a little up and down. I think this is better as a story than Acolyte was. I think it's a more consistent story. It's a more interesting story. I think the quality of the episodes have been pretty solid. So it doesn't make any sense to attack a show that you like because the show before it wasn't good.
I think the biggest negative for the show is just the episodes aren't long enough. They're too short.
That's a fair criticism. They're like 20 some minutes long.
Yeah,
Like
they just need to be a bit longer because it's like you feel like here we go, we're getting going, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Though it's a bit longer than Creature Commandos.
But I mean, what I'm saying, I think it makes sense. Like, if you are in it for better Star Wars content, which is what a lot of these guys say, they're doing this because they want better Star Wars content, and you actually get something that most of them agree is a pretty solid series, why would you not be telling people to show Disney and Star Wars that this is the kind of stuff you want by watching it, instead of going, ha ha ha, it's not doing as good, it's doing worse than the Acolyte, so it must be a bad thing? Because you're arguing about quality, but you're saying that the previous entries affected it, that's why it's doing bad. So wouldn't you do everything in your power as an influencer to lift it back up again? It just doesn't make sense to continue to double down on the negativity around it if you actually like it. To me, that seems like you're basically being an anti-shill at that point. It's
anti-shill, eh?
That's a new word. I'm going to use that one. An anti-shill.
What's the opposite of the woke mind virus?
The anti-woke mind virus?
Okay.
The anti-life equation?
Oh, no, that's red pill, isn't it? Isn't red pill being the opposite?
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would be red pill. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. That's probably what it is. Look, Anthony says Cosmic Book News. I know it's awful, and I actually forgot that it even existed until I saw people sharing this, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" People still.
What's the other one? I'm forgetting. What's the other one?
We got this covered.
That's it. We got this covered. Yeah.
I don't even know if people still use that one. Is that still around?
I don't know. Is it?
Hold on.
You would know.
DCU updates. Cameron here gave a $5 super chat. I found the absolute flash details of the DCU update, so let's look it up. DCU. Updates. I know that the DCU updates account keeps getting banned, and they keep having to start a new one. So
it's just one of those days.
I'm not going to assume why that is. It could be from just spamming people with false information, but who knows?
They could be sending explicit images through DMs.
You think so?
Maybe
that's what it is.
Have I told you? I haven't told you that story about one of my mates got banned off Tinder. And we went through the reasons why you get banned of Tinder, and it was like either we sort of like removed certain options because he didn't do that, he wouldn't have done that, and we pretty much came down to two options in regards to what he got banned for. And he still to this day has not revealed which one it is, but we know it's one of these two options based off his reactions. He either said something racist to someone, or he sent them a dick pic. One of the two.
Well,
he still won't reveal to this day, and I guess it's like,
wait. You're saying that's what you've determined that's what it is?
We've gone through the reasons why you would get banned on Tinder, and it's pretty much down to those two options. He was either racist or discriminatory to someone.
Well, I don't think either one of those are good things, so we're gonna hope that that's maybe not what it was. Let's see here. I don't see that. Cameron, let's see. Absolute.
Maybe it was from a couple of days ago.
Wait, why would Absolute Flash be on the DCU update page?
No, they probably just spam anything DC related. It doesn't necessarily have to be with Thingo.
Let's see.
I was wondering that because you can't send pictures on Tinder, can you?
I don't know. I don't use Tinder, so I have no idea. All right, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, so the DCU updates account is just updating anything with DC, not just DCU.
Well, I mean, it's not like there's a ridiculous amount of updates coming from the DCU consistently.
Well, the DCU updates. Well, I think okay. So honestly, I think they created that account thinking there was going to be like this massive flood of news, be like Marvel, because almost every week there's something new to talk. Like we could literally do a stream just about Marvel updates every week. DCU updates, not so much. Let's see.
What about Ray Fisher updates?
Ray Fisher hasn't done much.
What about Black Adam updates?
That's zero. There's nobody's talking.
Jonathan
about
Majors updates?
No, none of those.
Well, you haven't been updating those Twitter pages of yours.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right.
Just one of those days.
I think that's what he's talking about. So Jeff Lemire revealed Barry Allen will play a role in Absolute Flash, but not just the one you may expect. He also revealed Gorilla Grodd will be the secret star of Absolute Flash.
Maybe Barry Allen's just like a mentor or something, or maybe he's just like his brother-in-law.
I'm scared to scroll, so anything that's not connected to this account, I'm not gonna go into it because it is what it is here. He's confident that Wally. Wait. He also confirmed that Wally is 15 years old. Wally will be the first and only Flash, and the Speed Force may not exist.
What do you mean, may not?
Okay, that's it. That's the end of scroll. Like, I know better.
What's going on in your "What's Happening" section there?
We talked about this. I just mentioned a minute ago. You didn't mention the Los Angeles fires. But I was talking
because we talked about it for about half an hour to kick off.
Looting. We know what that's about. Mel Gibson, I have no idea, but I'm not clicking on it. And Bob the Drag Queen, I have no idea either. So these two, I don't know.
Is that like Bob the?
Not Bob.
Who was the other Bob? No, the other Bob.
It's not. I don't know. Bob what?
Wasn't there another Bob?
Bob. I don't know what joke you're talking about. Like I have no clue. I'm being serious.
Say Bob again.
What?
Say Bob again.
Bob. What's funny about that?
Oh, you just say it funny in a funny.
You say it like Barb. Bob. Like there's an R in it. Barb.
Say Bob.
No, you say it with an R. I hear it. I hear the R in there.
Bob.
Yeah. So Barry Allen is probably going to be like his next door neighbor or something. I'm guessing. All right. Before we close out the stream, I want to bring this over here.
What if it was Bob the Builder?
Why would Bob the Builder be trending?
Well, I guess it's because now he's a drag queen.
No, Bob the Drag Queen is an actual person. So
yeah, formerly Bob the Builder.
Yeah, formerly Bob the Builder, right? Barb from Stranger Things, maybe. Cameron here with the $2 super chat. Eric, have you heard DC Resurrection Man comic? I did see that, but I'm not too familiar with it. But wasn't there? Is that another? Didn't that character have another name? Resurrection Man. Was there another name for that character, or am I thinking of someone else? I could have sworn there was another character that
Bob?
resurrected. No, not Bob. I don't know. I'll look into that. Maybe we'll talk about that on Saturday when we have like a lot of extra time. We'll go through all the absolute stuff. All right, so this is the IMDb 2025 most anticipated movies. People were telling me I should talk about this one because it's different from the other one we looked at, and it's only 10. So it has Superman at number 1 on this list. What do you think? Do you think that there's a argument for that?
Well, it's important to remember this is like Superman's skewed because of the trailer.
Yeah,
came out. You can argue that the whole list is put into question with number 7 being there.
Right. So
it comes down to like, what do we mean by anticipation?
Right. Whether or not it's going to be successful, maybe.
Yeah. And that's true. Avatar comes out at the end of the year. Like, really, Avatar would be, if it was a true list, like.
Well, I have to say I enjoy this list because they put Thunderbolts at number 5.
I think it's because they put
Brave New World at number 6. So, well, so in the other list, they had Captain America higher than Thunderbolts. I don't even think Thunderbolts was on the other list we looked at. So Thunderbolts being number 5 is pretty high for me.
Well, I know you love Snow White being at 7.
I don't even understand why that's at 7 because we haven't really had much since that trailer dropped, like 2 months.
I think it's
ago,
because
whatever
they've
it was.
released a couple of trailers and like it's what is in the first half of the year. When does it come out? May or April or something?
I think it is early in the year. Yeah, I think we'll probably see a ramp up in advertising for that soon, though. So okay, it's better to talk about the ones that I'm not totally sure why they're on the list. Snow White is one of them. I would say that 28 years later being number 2 is a little weird, but I guess it has a lot to do with the chat we're having about it right now. Like people are talking about it, right? Is that what you would say that is?
Well, the 7 Dwarves. Maybe that's why Snow White's at number 7. Then why is Fantastic Four not number 4?
They missed an opportunity to do that.
Why is 28 years later not at 28?
Well, it could be. Mission Impossible being at number 10 is interesting. I think the Jurassic World should be higher, personally.
It doesn't have a trailer, though. I think the most surprising thing is the fact that Fantastic Four is there with no official, like, proper promo material to the general public.
So what's the metric for IMDb, then? Is it just social media chatter?
I think it's literally just, like, people checking the page, clicking the actors involved,
right,
and stuff like that. So I think it's... And also, to be fair, IMDb is promoting Superman as well, like, it like, in regards to, like, a movie coming out.
Yeah.
But it'd just be simply because the trailer came out. And that was very smart. Like we were talking about. Remember there was someone in the chat that was saying, oh, why would they release the trailer? This is why. Because nothing comes out to the Super Bowl. We got like another month. Like when's the Super Bowl's first Sunday in February. So they got like pretty much an entire another month where no one's going to be releasing trailers outside of smaller movies. Or movies that are coming out in like February and March where it's like their third trailer or whatever it is. No one's doing a big summer trailer yet until the Super Bowl. Like, sure, Jurassic World and Fantastic Four might release a poster, but they'll release that poster literally probably the week of the Super Bowl where they're going to release the trailer. It's like, hey, here's a poster, new trailer on Super Bowl.
Okay. So looking at this list, other than Fantastic Four, do you think we're going to see any other trailers during the Super Bowl?
Jurassic World.
Do you think we'll get another Captain America trailer?
I was going to say they might do a last ditch little, like a tiny one, like a really small one. Yeah, and it might not even be like a new trailer. It might just be something that.
What about Minecraft? Because that's coming out.
Maybe Warner Brothers has to pick and choose though, because they might. Do you think they might do Superman there as well?
So wait, so do you think we might get okay? So out of this list, Fantastic Four, I feel like Super Bowl, maybe another Captain America trailer. They probably won't do another Thunderbolts trailer in Super Bowl, most likely not. Superman could get a proper non-teaser, so actually hearing people speak, like dialogue and scenes and stuff. They could do that if they wanted. I think it would be smart, but do they have the money to do that? Because we know that they don't have a lot of money for advertising.
I don't know, because it's supposed to remember Minecraft comes out beginning of April. They might leave the official trailer until April to put in front of Minecraft because kids.
True.
And they need to appeal to kids, so they might leave it till Minecraft to do the official trailer.
Yeah. Fetman says, why is Minecraft on the list but not Avatar?
But if they release Fantastic Four at Super Bowl, then it could, like, what, there's a week until Captain America, so they play the Fantastic Four trailer in front of Captain America. And if they can get the last push there, like Captain America could still be a pretty decent box office draw, as well as the fact that nothing's really coming out. So people might go watch Captain America and then they see Fantastic Four.
Philip here says, too bad the Daily Wire Snow White won't be made so we can make fun of it, but thank God it doesn't need to be made. I heard, and Philip, and this might break your heart, maybe it won't, but I heard that it was all a troll, that they never intended to make the movie, but I think that's them coping because they lost the actress. Brett Cooper's gone, so they don't have her anymore, so they can't really do it. But
to be fair, I think it was a troll because they've done that so long ago. She's only just recently left. I think they would have done it.
Well, there was rumor that the movie got pushed back because the actual Disney movie got pushed back. They were going to try and release it around the same time, is what the rumor was. So
I think it would have been a troll. I think it just would have been a waste of money just to make a full thing. That
I would have been interested to see how bad it was, so I probably would have watched it. It
would have been interesting to see like a comparison. You could have had a Snow White-a-thon.
Maybe.
All right. It could have been like your 24-hour stream of rewatching Superman Solar.
Oh yeah, that 24 hours.
I know you love that stream. It's your favorite.
All right, this is the sort of 5-minute warning. It's a 5-minute warning for the poll. If you have not voted right now, we are at 74 votes, which there's still some people in here that have not voted. This is a bonus topic for Saturday's 5-hour stream. And right now, with a massive lead, is the top 5 DCU Dream projects. So if you guys haven't voted, go ahead and vote now. We did hit the goal. Thank you guys so much for that. We've almost hit the goal for the month, so that's amazing. We still got like 10 days to go, and I think I'm confident we will hit the monthly goal. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I want to save some stuff for Saturday. So the Saturday stream is going to start at 1 o'clock. And the crazy thing is, according to my weather for my area, we're supposed to get snow on Saturday. So I might actually do the mobile thing, take the phone or something outside while it's snowing, and do a little bit of broadcasting in the snow.
Can we get gritty in the snow?
Ooh, you know what? If it snows,
gritty.
if there's actual legitimate snow outside on Saturday, like it actually does snow enough, I will do the gritty in the snow.
But you have to do it in the chaps. You have to do it in the chaps.
I don't have chaps. I'd have to order chaps. There's no way I'd get chaps between now and Saturday.
You said that about the pink shirt, and miraculously the next day there was a pink shirt and a pink hat. So I'm calling bullshit on that.
There's no AI pictures of me wearing.
Does anyone actually believe that Eric does not own a pair of chaps? Like I highly.
But I'll be live at 1 o'clock on Saturday. It'll be a 5-hour stream, and should I talk about the situation? Should I say what's going on, or should I just not say anything?
Well, you may as well to give people context. And also, it might put some public pressure, which is always a good thing.
Well, so Ben, the DC TV show, is MIA. I don't even know what Ben's doing. So
I think he's stuck in platform 9 and 3/4.
There's high probability that Ben will not be on the stream. However, Boba, if he stops in or you see this, if you come in, you watch the stream. I don't know if he watches my stuff. I have no idea.
I think he hate watches you after the stream.
But he came in and said that he wanted to do something, and so I said I would reach out to him, and we kind of confirmed that like it would be earlier and all that stuff. And I reached out to him last Sunday to ask him if he would like to be on, and he has not responded to me at all. So just be aware that it's not that I don't want people to think that he was like, I agreed to be on and that I just didn't show up. I don't want that. But he just has not confirmed with me that he will or will not be here on Saturday. I am hoping that he is, because I wanted to have a discussion about the Penguin and the Batman movie and all that stuff. So I hope that he can make it at least for a little while, but I have not heard back from him. So I just want to be crystal clear that just not happened. So we'll see if I hear anything back from him, between now and Saturday. Hopefully I do. I'd love to have him on. But Paige will be here at a certain point, and I'm pretty sure we'll have other people stop in. I'm fingers crossed that Boba does make it, because he's one of the people I haven't talked to in a really long time. I'd like to have him on, but we'll see what's happened. Paige and I have not actually met. We were supposed to meet at I have to tell this story every time. I make it very short and sweet. We're supposed to meet at Comic-Con, but Comic-Con fucked up and gave me the wrong press pass. So I could not go, because they told me in an email there was no way to fix that because it was too late by the time I got the press pass. So that was the issue. That's a true story. It's documented. It's here somewhere in one of the videos where I show that.
Eric Johnston. Was it Eric Johnston from Batman
Supergirl?
TV?
It was Supergirl TV. Was the person? So yeah.
We were meant to meet, and then but Eric got stabbed.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to, with 75 votes, we're going to end the poll, and let's see what it says here, Paige. You're probably going to be really happy about these results.
Just one of those days. Here's a really good idea, though, Eric.
Yeah.
Just cut the bum/cheeks out of an old pair of jeans or whatnot. They'd be chaps of a kind, makeshift chaps, which will make you care more about the chaps, and also make you articulate the cheeks to fit you. Because sometimes you can buy chaps that don't necessarily express said cheeks.
Right. So then I have these like useless jeans laying around the house that I'll.
Well, now you have a pair of chaps.
No, I will not wear chaps. So there we go.
All right,
so with 50% of the vote, Paigey, overwhelming majority, we will be talking about top 5 dream DCU projects on Saturday. So that'll be one of the bonus topics. So we'll think about it. I'll probably make my list tomorrow, and we will talk about the stuff we want to see that has not been talked about at all. Not been promised, not even been talked about, just the top 5 things we'd like to see as either movies or TV shows, maybe even animated stuff. I'm not going to say video games, so I think that's really dumb to even mention video games at all, to be honest. So the 5-hour stream is going to have a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, I've got a few different topics. I also have a game we're gonna play. If we have enough people, we need at least like 4 people. But the game is basically guess what this is by looking at a very zoomed in photo of something. So what we'll do is we'll do like a couple of Arrowverse things, a couple of DC things, a couple of Marvel things, where I'm going to zoom in ridiculously far into that picture with like focus on a hand or a foot or an eye or something, and then everybody has to sort of guess what it is in the picture.
Ooh.
So
Here's the thing: on Saturday, you'd have to. Maybe I'm springing this late. Would you like me to be quizmaster again?
I mean, you can if you want. We have plenty of time. So if
Well,
you
yeah,
want to do that,
you have time to invite people on for a quiz. Oh, I'm going to make it so fucked up.
Yeah, you can do one of
No,
those.
I won't make it like cancel where your stream gets shut down, like dictator section or something like.
Yeah. Make it fun, but not like I don't want this stream to be like
John
my
Bobbitt.
ideal thing is to not have this stream chopped up. I'd like it to be a full stream that everybody can watch.
When
I do the Penguin review on there, if Boba shows up like he's supposed to, that will be chopped out as a separate video that will go out on Monday. So if you can't make it to the stream, you'll be able to see that clipped out of the stream if you don't want to watch the whole thing. So anyway, that's pretty much it. We're gonna get out of here. Thanks everybody for what?
What are you? Not now. We can see you. What are you
know,
wearing?
Like
on
regular
Saturday?
clothes. Regular clothes.
Oh, I thought you might dress up.
So no dressing up. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here. We're getting out of here. Pagey's not going to keep me any longer. We're already at 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I'll see everyone later. Have a good night.